on AM 560, The Answer.
As a business owner, do you have a strategy for exiting your business? Most business owners don't. Studies done by the Exit Planning Institute show 75% of business owners who don't have an exit plan are dissatisfied with their exit, and 80% of businesses put to market never sell. Total Clarity Wealth Management understands the hesitation to discuss exiting. Will customers leave? Will competitors take advantage? Will key employees leave? That's why they offer confidential planning. Contact Anne-Marie at Total Clarity Wealth Management. Discover what the financial foundation should be to pursue an exit that is satisfying. At some point, you are going to leave your business. Will it be on your terms? Total Clarity can show you the way to financial readiness and keep you on track. Anne-Marie is a certified exit planning advisor. Visit TotalClarityBusiness.com. That's TotalClarityBusiness.com. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Total Clarity Wealth Management, Inc., a registered investment advisor and separate entity from LPL Financial.
For armed or unarmed security, average isn't good enough. You deserve more. You need more.
Morrison means more.
Morrison Security. More deterrence and prevention with customized programs that fit your budget. Cost-effective, sensible solutions for all businesses and facilities.
Morrison means more.
More peace of mind, knowing your security guards are well-trained professionals with a track record of getting results and serving exactly your needs. Morrison Security personnel are constantly trained for readiness and are prepared for any given situation that can occur at a job site.
Morrison means more.
More reliability of management for quick and effective solutions at your property. Morrison Security is responsive. They're always available to you.
Morrison means more.
More awareness of any challenges you face with protecting people, property, and assets. For armed and unarmed security, don't settle for substandard or average. Security is too important. Contact them and find out how you can get more. MorrisonSecurity.com. MorrisonSecurity.com.
Morrison means more.
In the midst of finishing up a so-so 2023, Bob wondered where the sales were. He lost 2 long-term clients and his back-end operations were slowing down production. His family business had always been successful, but now their outdated processes were holding back the growth. Bob knew he needed to embrace technology and upgrade their systems. He never thought he'd be stuck in the Stone Age. That's when he discovered Turnkey, who helped bring his business current. Now, Bob has a new e-commerce capability, a cutting-edge marketing plan, and a real growth strategy. With Turnkey's help, he's developed a new vision for what's possible, a plan for the future, and a small business partner to help him get things done.
If you need a partner to help you with a fresh perspective for 2024, or if you feel like you're falling behind, Turnkey believes that every business has the opportunity to stay current and competitive. Turnkey is here to provide you with the solutions, guidance, and support that you need to conquer your business and IT challenges. Start a conversation today. Visit turnkey.pro. That's turnkey.pro.
50 years of precision tooling. Now that's a lot of job shop work and custom parts. And it's why Bruscher Machining is the go-to CNC turning and machining company in Chicagoland. If you have a custom project, whether it's a single prototype or a short-run production of a few thousand pieces, give them a call today for your free custom quote, 630-876-1661. Or visit BruscherMachining.com. That's BRUCHER Machining.com. They also provide heat treating, balancing, plating, and surface coating, welding, and fabrication, plus project management. Bruscher Machining guarantees to consistently deliver high-quality parts and solutions on time for reasonable prices. Yeah, everyone says that, but the proof is in the tooling. Stop by to meet their team of seasoned pros and tour the facility located in West Chicago. To learn more about how CNC machining can turn your tough project into an operational reality, contact Bruscher Machining today for your free custom quote, 630-876-1661.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology, such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930. That's 630-830-4930. Or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Have you been struggling to find an easy, safe, and secure document scanning solution for Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, or OnBase by Highland? Your struggle is now over, and it's time to get your documents and operations into the 21st century. With IoT Smart Connected Scan, it's easy to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. And you don't need a degree in computing or IT to make it happen. Using QR code technology uniquely configured for your specific business, anyone can set the IoT Smart Connected Scanning device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money and valuable time. Remote employees can even capture documents and send them safely and seamlessly. Organize documents efficiently and securely with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
When you're serious about your concealed carry training and education and are ready to learn from an active police officer with a teaching degree, check out Illinois Concealed Carry Training in Midlothian. You'll learn safe, responsible firearm use, home defense planning, conflict avoidance, situational awareness, and how to remain physically, morally, and financially safe in the event you must use your firearm in self-defense or the defense of another. Weekday and weekend classes available.
I'm Sergeant Gary Carr, police firearms trainer and the owner of Illinois Concealed Carry Training. We'll arm you with what really counts: knowledge and training. All concealed carry curriculums are not created equal. This may be the single most important decision you'll ever make for yourself and your loved ones. Choose between 3 and 16-hour classes that are available both weekdays and weekends. We are your one-stop for concealed carry classes, fingerprints, and legal defense plans.
Register for a class today and get 10% off class fees with promo code AM560. Visit IllinoisConcealedCarry.com. That's IllinoisConcealedCarry.com.
You're smart, you're busy, and don't have time to waste on the mainstream media cycle. Salem News Channel breaks that cycle. Topics that matter from hosts worth watching: Dinesh D'Souza, Andrew Wilkow, Brandon Tatum, and more. Open debate and free speech you won't find anywhere else. Salem News Channel, not like the other guys. Watch anytime on any screen, free 24/7. Find everything you need to know at snc.tv. That's snc.tv.
Imagine what your future looks like. Is the picture a little blurry? Hey, it's Sean Thompson here for Alpha Wealth Group. When we look ahead, we're visualizing where we want to be, and for retirement, that can be hard without a written financial plan. Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth Group can help you bring your retirement picture into focus. For decades, Tom has been crafting customized financial strategies. His goal is to help you protect your savings, grow your wealth, and create an income strategy you cannot outlive. If you're nearing or already in retirement, it's time to get your plan on paper. So bring your readers and let's take a look at it closely. Call Tom at 630-934-1855 and schedule a complimentary retirement consultation. There is no cost, there is no obligation. This is a chance to get a clearer view of your retirement. The number again is 630-934-1855 or visit alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings right here on AM 560 The Answer.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So you had competing turns before the assembled press between Donald Trump and Nikki Haley yesterday, with just a few days ago before Saturday's South Carolina primary. And just in case you thought
what?
That she was having this presser to drop out.
No, she's in it for the long run, folks.
But instead of focusing on how to make America stronger tomorrow, some people want to know if I'm going to cave today. We've all heard the calls for me to drop out. We all know where they're coming from. The political elite, the party bosses, the cheerleaders in the commentator world. The argument is familiar. They say I haven't won a state, that my path to victory is slim. They point to the primary polls and say I'm only delaying the inevitable. Why keep fighting when the battle was apparently over after Iowa? Look, I get it. In politics, the herd mentality is enormously strong. A lot of Republican politicians have surrendered to it. The pressure on them was way too much. They didn't want to be left out of the club. Of course, many of the same politicians who now publicly embrace Trump privately dread him. They know what a disaster he's been and will continue to be for our party. They're just too afraid to say it out loud. Well, I'm not afraid to say the hard truths out loud. I feel no need to kiss the ring.
Anymore.
I have no fear of Trump's retribution. I'm not. I'm not looking for anything from him. My own political future is of zero concern. So I hear what the political class says, but I hear from the American people, too.
And then she went on to give you the pro forma vignettes of her interactions with young and old and the full rainbow spectrum of humanity that on the trail is telling her, please, Nikki, you have to stay in to save the country. Please be an example to my little baby boy, and so on and so forth, that you hear from politicians at the podium like Nikki Haley. Yeah, right. The herd mentality, the public praise and the private disdain. Unlike Nikki Haley, who publicly praised Trump, is now publicly disdaining him. But something that she said, I wanted to just plumb the depths of a bit, bit of a thought experiment. And it's sort of prompted to do this by my most recent podcast interview for my Counterculture podcast over at American Greatness.
Who did you have
on? John Cochran. He's the grumpy economist. He is over at the Hoover Institution. Guy. Yeah. Not one prone to hyperbole, prone to the passions of the day. And we were just talking about, the sort of the policy agenda of a second Trump presidency. And he just sort of stopped me, appropriately so, and said, I get this question a lot. What's the policy agenda going to be? A re-upping of the Trump tax cuts. What should he do on depreciation schedules and marginal rates and so on and so forth? I said, forget all that. It is going to be utter chaos. It is going to be a constitutional crisis. And he's not putting this on Trump's shoulders, certainly not exclusively, saying there will be rioting in the streets that will dwarf what we witnessed in the summer of 2020. There will be litigation on every single thing. There will be another cooked-up impeachment proceeding, depending on who's in power. But even if the Democrats weren't in power, they'll still move, they'll still be circulating articles of impeachment that they can't
go anywhere with, but
consummate. But they'll still. I mean, do we have a full appreciation of the looming constitutional crisis that is before us, regardless of outcome, but probably more likely if Trump wins than if he doesn't, just because of the nature of the respective sides of America that support the competing candidates.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. We also have our text line fired up and ready to go. 64636. Type in DA and then your comment.
I mean, it really is interesting to consider, and that doesn't say, we can't. And it was sort of I was reminded of it because of Nikki Haley's Trump's a disaster. Yeah.
Well, she kept saying, they're two old men. Okay, Dan, we know this, Nikki. Thank you so much.
And by the way, all these, they're demanding she get out of the race. You can stay in the race as long as you want. I don't care. I mean, right now, my guess is that if you stayed in the race past March 12th, it would be over anyway because Trump is going to secure the necessary delegates to be the nominee.
Right.
So go ahead. I mean,
but she still only has $13 million of cash left.
So drop out on Saturday. Drop out on March 12th. Never drop out. When the money runs out, be a one-man band traveling the country. I don't care.
Yeah.
Nobody
cares. She
cares.
said she's going to stay in until the last vote is counted.
Yeah, in South Carolina. Yeah, the big pronouncements of politicians, and then the rubber meets the road. But to the chaos, to Trump and the chaos conceptions. He was asked about this at his time before the public last night. This is the Fox News town hall that Laura Ingraham hosted, and the revenge question. Are you going to be so? Essentially, it's this argument that's being made, including by opponents of Trump. It's so consumed, in addition to all the chaos around, he's going to be so consumed with vengeance, he will not be focused on the policy agenda. He will be beset by his own personal vendettas and so forth. I thought this was a pretty good moment for the former president.
But the question about score settling, a lot of women, a lot of women voters, they don't like the name calling, they don't like the score settling. They love your policies, and they just want Trump's policies, maybe not so much of the other stuff. So I think that's what the question, if you don't mind my asking, I think that's what she's getting at.
But also you want to say, how do you get together? We're going to get together through success. When the country was at a level that we had the best employment numbers in history. Everything was good, and this country was coming together. Then we got hit with COVID, but this country came together. I don't care about the revenge thing. I know they usually use the word revenge. Will there be revenge? My revenge will be success.
That's good.
There's a bumper sticker.
Yep.
There's a bumper sticker. By the way, just on the whole, I don't fear Trump's retribution. What is Trump's retribution? Calling you a name? All this scary talk. I know because the never Trump simpletons and the left compare him to despots of the 20th century. What can you give me an example of his revenge? What did he fire somebody in The Apprentice? He called somebody names. What's the revenge?
Maybe putting up a candidate against somebody who doesn't see eye to eye with him. Primarying somebody, but that happens all the time.
Supporting a primary candidate. I mean, the vengeance and the hellfires will rain down. Well, give me an example. I mean, he's this character from Lord of the Rings, right? He's the evil wizard casting spells and turning men into mice. And so, well, give me an example. Name calling.
I mean,
wow, you can take name calling. You're not afraid to be called a name on your path to the presidency. Wow, so inspired. I'm so impressed. George in Naperville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, Dan, the revenge is going to be the end of democracy. These people have been fired up with that all along, and they're going to hit the streets.
Thanks, George. Phil, Maryville.
Hey, morning, guys. I was thinking the same thing there, Dan. This is probably going to be one of the worst years in decades with this election coming up. But we literally have to get another Republican in there because these Democrats, these new Democrats with their new socialist agenda, globalist agenda, we can't have another 4 years of this. It's not like it would be like a Joe Manchin in there, which I wouldn't vote for a Democrat either way, but These Democrats these days are completely brainwashed in every single policy they put out. I mean, we can't afford it. I'll take the riots.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Phil. I mean, look, it's a funny thing to say, but he's right. I mean, the neo-Jacobins, the new Marxists, this is a religious cult. They're puritanical and tyrannical.
They don't have God, they have politics and politicians.
Right, and so the threat of the rioting and a constitutional crisis, well, you can't let them extort you out of your republic. I mean, so whatever may come, the fight is one we have to have. Coming up at 5:38, new charges in the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl parade shooting. We'll hear from the Jackson County, Missouri prosecutor in that case at 5:38.
Please walk me through that one, Dan. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
5:32 on AM 560. The Answer. 46 degrees this morning, heading for a high near 60. U.S. vetoing a resolution at the UN calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza.
We believe that the resolution on the table right now would, in fact, negatively impact those negotiations.
U.S. Ambassador Linda Thomas Greenfield. Julian Assange could find out his fate before the end of day today. The WikiLeaks founder has been imprisoned in the UK, fighting extradition to the U.S. for more than a decade. GOP presidential hopeful Nikki Haley criticizing the age of both of her political rivals. In an appearance on News Nation, Haley argued that both President Biden and Donald Trump are too old for another term. Haley told South Carolina voters yesterday as well she's staying in.
I'm willing to take the cuts, the bruises, and the name-calling, because the only way you get to the blessing is by going through the pain.
Former President Trump, though, says the race between he and Nikki Haley was settled 3 months ago.
She's here. She's down by 30, 35 points. And everybody knows her. You're not supposed to lose your home state. Shouldn't happen anyway. And she's losing it big.
Trump last night on a town hall who said candidates should not be trailing, as you heard him say, in their home state. Neuralink's first brain implant patient can control a computer mouse simply by thinking. That's the claim the company founder Elon Musk made in an X Spaces event. Musk says the patient seems to have made a full recovery. A single study is showing reading scores among Chicago public school students may be improving. It's a Harvard and Stanford study, but it goes against the grain of many other peer-reviewed studies showing dramatic drops in math and reading and language arts scores in CPS and the suburbs. Cause of a fire at a building on the north side Tuesday is under investigation. Fire broke out in the apartment complex near West Wellington and North Broadway in Lakeview. No injuries, but multiple residents have been displaced. Governor J.B. Pritzker will announce his proposed budget today. Illinois Senate Republicans say it's possible there could be a nearly $1 billion deficit. Minority Leader John Curran.
This governor has spent 6 years creating a non-citizen welfare state. He is spending your taxpayer dollars, the taxpayer dollars of Illinois citizens, working families, to create that non-citizen welfare state. We have opposed that at every step, and we will continue to.
Pritzker delivers that address at noon today. Chicago police are asking for the public's help in finding a missing teen. 13-year-old Amaya Key Knox has reportedly been abducted by a non-custodial parent. According to police, the young girl was signed out of a local hospital by Antoinette Knox. The two were last seen this past Friday. Blackhawks will try to get back in the win column when they host the Philadelphia Flyers at the UC tonight. Number 12 Fighting Illini go for their third win in a row. They've got the early game in the Big Ten, a 5:30 tip, 6:30 local time as Penn State hosts at the Bryce Jordan Center. The news is a service of In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard Sunday morning at 6:30 on AM 560. And a check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Don't miss collegiate swimming champion and women's sports advocate Riley Gaines live in Chicagoland on Friday, March 22nd at Belvedere Banquets in Elk Grove Village. Hear Riley talk about her fight for equality and fairness while standing up for women's safety, privacy, and equal opportunities. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/tickets. That's 560theanswer.com/tickets. Sponsored in part by Blue Star Security and by Opum Tax Advocates and attorney Stephen A. Leahy.
Sick and tired of achy joints? Dread the idea of surgery? Well, you need to call QC Kinetics. Hi, it's Amy Jacobson. Listen, the state of healthcare is always changing. The old ideas like steroids, cortisone shots, surgery are no longer your only options. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics is transforming lives with innovative, non-surgical, drug-free treatments that deliver lasting results. Knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain from arthritis or injury? Well, don't let this pain keep you from living your best. QC Kinetics advanced state-of-the-art treatments harness and direct your body's natural ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. Make 2024 the year you reclaim your mobility and independence. Walk and run, play and live. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation. New locations, folks, in Crystal Lake and Gurnee. Call 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Are you ready for an adventure of a lifetime? Journey with me, Mike Gallagher, and Dr. Sebastian Gorka on the Patriots Alaska cruise this summer. It's going to be an incredible opportunity to engage with other like-minded patriots on an epic 7-day cruise over 4th of July. Witness the untouched wilderness of Alaska while discussing America's future. Join Dr. Gorka and me, Mike Gallagher, from June 29th through July the 6th. Call 855-565-5519 or reserve online at patriotsalaskacruise.com.
This is Albert Mohler for townhall.com. No man, no problem. That's the way Joe Stalin put it. Totalitarian regimes and dictators know how to deal with problems. They disappear. And when it comes to human beings, that often means they disappear by murder. In this case, of course, we're talking about Alexei Navalny, who died Friday in a Russian penal colony in or near Siberia. He died just a day after appearing to be extremely healthy in a video appearance related to his legal situation. Navalny was part of a generation that was horribly offended by the corruption that is reflected in the Russian government. He named things for what they were. He exposed them, and he sought to organize opposition. He believed that the formation of opposition parties could eventually lead to the overthrow of Russia's corrupt regime. But predictably, given the history of Russia following a very familiar pattern, the regime struck back. Will this over time strengthen or weaken the Russian regime? Well, we'll be watching that closely. I'm Albert Mohler.
As a local business owner, you get called every week by marketing companies. We get it. We have hundreds of satisfied customers. Here's what a satisfied client recently said.
Open enrollment is going great. We're hitting record numbers. Thank you so much for this report. It really is amazing to see how the marketing is really shaping our enrollment around the city.
If you're a local business and ready for the next step, visit surroundchicago.com right now. Our experts are ready to help you take your marketing to the next level. Visit surroundchicago.com today. Download the free Upside app to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code RADIO for an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill-up. That's promo code RADIO.
5:40. Let's get a quick check of the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of our friends at Fox Valley Coins, where there's no waiting, no problems, no charge for in-store verbal appraisals. Bring your gold or silver in today. FoxValleyCoins.com. Edens, Kennedy, Ike, and Stevenson, you're striking out okay with no problems. Just a flash of the brake lights inbound on the Ryan right now, 95th up to 75th. And slowdowns on the Bishop Ford between Cottage Grove and the Ryan Merge. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Some sun today and near record warmth. High of 62. Partly cloudy with showers overnight, low 42. Currently cloudy and 47. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. America First with Sebastian Gorka, weekday afternoons at 3 on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So yesterday, new charges announced in connection with the mass shooting event that occurred at the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl parade and celebration, where 23 people were shot. And apparently, two of those who were shot were assailants, because two assailants were charged with murder yesterday by the Jackson County, Missouri prosecutor's office. And here's Jean Peters Baker, the prosecutor, to explain the charges.
Now, I would like to try and give you a brief summary of, I think, what occurred that day that led to these criminal charges. From the evidence, it appears that Defendant Mays, that's the first person I read off charges on, Defendant Mays was in a verbal argument with another individual. And the evidence does not reflect in these early moments that there was any prior history between these individuals, Mays and the individual he was in some kind of verbal dispute with. There was no connection to each other, those two individuals. Now, that argument very quickly escalated to Mays drawing his firearm, a handgun. Mays pulled his handgun first. Almost immediately, others pulled their firearms. Defendant Miller was one of those individuals. While both adults are charged with murder, the evidence tells us that it was Mr. Miller's firearm. Mr. Miller's firearm struck Lisa Lopez Galvin. So that's just two individuals. And I think as we all stand here, this investigation is still very, very active and ongoing. And we're going to probably quickly leave this room and go right back to that so that everybody understands what's next. But I do want you to understand, we seek to hold every shooter accountable for their actions on that day. Every single one. So while we're not there yet on every single individual, we're going to get there.
Oh, boy.
And so the two individuals that were named are named because they're both adults, as far as the law is concerned.
Lindell Mays and Dominic Miller.
So Miller and Mays were both shot, and they both shot. And Miller's bullet, the bullet from Miller's gun, is the one that killed that DJ. And
I thought Mays was. All right, I'm so confused.
No, Miller's.
Miller's. All right.
And there were casings recovered from 3 different caliber guns. So I don't know if one of the other guns that was used by an assailant is one of the juveniles that's also been charged, who we don't know anything about. We don't have the probable cause documents, the charging documents like we do for Miller and Mays. But so now you have 2 adults charged, and still, as I understand it, 2 juveniles charged, all charged with various counts of murder, but you don't exactly know what the role the juveniles had was, because now we know at least who murdered, according to the forensic evidence, who murdered that woman that was shot.
Yeah, Lisa Lopez Galvin, the DJ.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text. And I sort of felt like the whole story of 2 juveniles and it just being some sort of
altercation or argument, they said?
No, some sort of showdown, some sort of high noon at the OK Corral kind of thing just between the 2 of them didn't make sense. And that wasn't it. As you heard the prosecutor talking about, it's one group starts eyeing and I guess jawboning with another group that don't really know each other. This is from the probable cause documents I'm summarizing. Somebody sees one of them with the backpack and a gun sticking out. So then one person from one of the groups pulls a gun, then another person from another group pulls a gun, then Mays apparently is the first one to open fire, and that's when multiple people who were in possession of guns opened fire back and forth.
But what's the point, between point A and point B, the two adults and the two juveniles? Did the two juveniles see these two fighting, and then they got out their guns, too, and started shooting?
Well, that's sort of what I think you can reasonably infer, although we don't know that to be certain because we don't have the particulars on the juveniles.
And they didn't have the booking photo. So the kid that we thought was a juvenile that got tackled by the Good Samaritans.
That's an adult. That's Miller.
That was Miller?
The guy who got tackled.
Okay.
This is in the charging documents where it talks about him getting shot, him running, and then he's tackled, and the gun comes out as that heroic dude who tackled him described, and then they're on top of him, holding him down, pending the cops arriving and taking him into custody, which has happened. So it's starting to come together a little bit, but the whole it's like two silly kids, and they get in a fight and they just start shooting each other, and one is whirling around because he doesn't know how to use the gun. Right. It's a little bit more complicated than that. And you heard from the Jackson County prosecutor there saying, so now you got 4 in custody, and she says, we're not done. We're at the beginning of this. So it's a little bit more complicated than we were first led to believe, and we're supposed to stop paying attention and make sure we use the proper appellations when we describe these animals who open fire in this crowd of tens of thousands of people, per the mayor of Kansas City. No, we're starting to get a little bit clearer picture, but it's still not crystal.
And how stupid is this? According to these documents, it says the witness's boyfriend told investigators a group of people approached Mays and a woman, quote, as they began arguing about why they were staring at each other. Now you're getting fights because you're staring at. You looking at me? You looking at me?
Yeah,
this is so stupid.
It's the eye mugging thing.
Oh
yeah,
my
right.
God! Please.
Yeah. There's something from the Mays probable cause statement too.
Okay, what?
I wanted to get to just something that he admitted, because these geniuses both waived their Miranda rights and started talking to police. I'm sure their defense attorneys are going to be real happy about that. But let's go to Mike in Littleton, Colorado. You're at Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, and thank you for taking my call. Just listening to the story, it's like a scene out of Blazing Saddles. All of these sweet, innocent young kids automatically all pulled guns that they brought to a Super Bowl parade. That sounds like non-thuggery to me.
Yeah, right.
And a real quick comment on that mayor of Kansas City. He'd be elected again tomorrow. The problem isn't him. The problem is everyone who votes for people like him. Thank you.
Thanks for the call, Mike. Yeah, so Mays, but it's like, I mean, if it wasn't so serious and there wasn't death and injuries, it would be. I would say Blazing Saddles is almost like a scene from I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker.
Oh.
It's like the Wayans brothers should be doing this, but it's obviously it's not funny. No. But I mean, this is like, it's just so it's so cosmically stupid. Listen to this from Mays, the guy who fired the first shot that sparked the return fire and all these people, innocent people, going down. This is from the probable cause document.
Okay.
He initially stated he didn't think he shot his gun. When he was advised he did shoot, he replied that he didn't hit anything, though. But he still knew it was bad. Then he stated he only shot one time. Then he said maybe 2 times. When asked why, he said because the other group advanced on them to begin with. And then he said, I'm quoting him, he's quoted in the probable cause document, stupid man, just pulled out a gun, or just stupid man, just pulled a gun out and started shooting. I shouldn't have done that, just being stupid. When reminded that the person Mays was shooting at was running away from him, Mays replied, I know.
And they didn't even release booking photos of these two thugs. Or should I not use that word, Dan?
There's something, but there is something psychologically wrong with that guy beyond the obvious. Beyond the obvious of opening fire in a crowd because somebody was eye mugging you, or you thought they were advancing on you, but you had no reasonable belief that you were in any harm. it's just all like, I don't know, misplaced bravado, silliness. Just pulled a gun out and started shooting. I shouldn't have done that, just being stupid. He was running away. I know.
He also told...
These are the silly kids. I mean, I'm not going to extrapolate this Mays character onto, urban youth. I don't want to demonize urban youth. But for those who commit so many of these crimes that you can't make sense of, there's a reason you can't make sense of it, because there's no sense to it. This Mays guy is giving you really useful insight into the thinking or complete lack thereof that is present, the emptiness, the vacuousness, how lost some of these young people are. And, you can have empathy for the plight of people growing up in tough neighborhoods and not having role models and so on and so forth. But that empathy has to stop when they decide, he decided, I know, that's acknowledgement. I know what I was doing when he decided to engage in murder and mayhem. He's done. He's gone. And the message needs to get back to the ecosystem that's what happens if you decide to go down this path. And that's not the message that's being sent in Kansas City or Chicago or New York or any other urban center right now.
And real quick, too, Mays said in the hospital that he started to hesitate shooting because he knew there were kids there. And then stated, but they could all have guns.
Right. Wonderful mitigation.
Wow.
Good luck with that. This is why criminal defense attorneys tell clients like Mays, please do not speak again until I ask you to. Steve in Roselle, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. I just want to point out the Kansas City prosecutor carefully said they did not know each other as individuals. She didn't say anything about recognizing each other as gang or whether symbols were flashed.
Yeah, true. I don't know. And it's not, there's no reference to gangs or gang affiliations in the documents, the charging documents that were released, these probable cause statements. But if they weren't members of gangs, that should be even more chilling to you.
Right. And they say they were adults. They could just be 18. They looked young.
Yeah, they're 18. I think they are 18 and 19 or 19 and 20. I mean, but of course, I mean, the preponderance of the crime, young men, and in urban centers, young black men. So what do you want to do about it other than not call them thugs and not demonize them and excuse them as being silly?
Since
that
they're
it?
adults, could we call them thugs?
Frank, Board of Trade.
Yeah, anybody who says that this is a lack of parental oversight or lack of a father in the family, this is delusional. These people are psychopaths. They have chemical disorders. They have brain connection disorders. This is the issue.
Thanks for the call, Frank.
A lot of text messages. The raging narcissism, of this generation. And then Dan and Amy, they all brought guns with them. Isn't that what we call premeditated? Why are they all armed?
Why? It's going to take a long time to figure out the why answers. And, there's a lot of case specificity to that answer. Every individual is a bit different. But I think the pressing answer, I think that where there needs to be a sense of urgency is, what are we going to do about it immediately? This is all this why stuff is Kamala Harris going to the Northern Triangle countries to get to the root causes of the lack of border security. The immediate charge is to secure the border. You want to figure out what's happening in Honduras or El Salvador, fine. The immediate charge is border security. You want to find out the pathologies and the traumas that are suffered from residents of high crime neighborhoods and kids growing up in that environment. And we know from a lot of study that there is real trauma associated with growing up in that sort of environment. And I'm empathetic to it. I'm happy to think about it and discuss it and talk intelligently about how to mitigate it, how to intervene. But the immediate charge is that anybody who goes down the path of violent crime is removed from society for a long time, if not permanently. That's the immediate charge. Then I've got all kinds of time for that other conversation. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
This President's Day, honor the legacy that shaped America with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens. At AMAC, we celebrate the courage and leadership that built our nation. In honor of President's Day, enjoy our exclusive sale. Become a 5-year AMAC member for just $35. That's right, $35 for a 5-year membership. As a member, enjoy benefits tailored for mature Americans, resources, exclusive discounts, trusted news, games, sweepstakes, and a powerful voice for your rights. Join us in honoring our nation's leaders. Visit amac.us/president for this special President's Day offer during the month of February. Seize the opportunity to become part of a community valuing the experience, wisdom, and principles that make America strong. Head to amac.us/president and secure your 5-year membership for $35 today. AMAC, better for you, better for America. Happy President's Day from the Association of Mature American Citizens. Visit amac.us/president now.
It's easy to see. We're being conned by the institutions we used to trust. The mainstream media is distracting us with meaningless headlines instead of focusing on the harsh realities facing American families. We all know something big is coming, and that's why so many folks are preparing. They're becoming more self-reliant by investing in emergency food storage from My Patriot Supply. My Patriot Supply is the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, and they make it easy for you to prepare. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com and secure some emergency food kits. There's a dozen to choose from that contain tasty breakfasts, lunches, and dinners, averaging 2,000 calories per day. Get at least one food kit for each family member. My Patriot Supply also sells large solar generators, gravity-powered water filtration systems, heirloom seeds for your garden, and survival gear. Order by 3 p.m. and your items will ship that same day. Time is short. Prepare today. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com. MyPatriotSupply.com.
AM 560. The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We had a real dignitary come through our fair city. Tony Fauci was in town at UIC. He had some important words to say about vaccines and public health. 606.
Today it's going to be unseasonably warm, a high of 62 degrees and plenty of sunshine. It is now 6 a.m. WIND Chicago.
It's a form of Navalny. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Former President Trump likening his situation to the Russian opposition leader who died in prison Friday.
People thought that could happen, and it did happen, and it's a horrible thing. But it's happening in our country, too. We are turning into a communist country in many ways, and if you look at it, I'm the leading candidate. I got indicted. I never heard of being indicted before. I got indicted 4 times.
Fox's Laura Ingraham then asked him at a town hall in South Carolina if he'll put up the $400 million bond to appeal a judge's ruling in New York the Trump Organization committed fraud.
Well, I have a lot of cash, but that doesn't mean he can take it. I mean, you know what he did? I think he looked at my cash and he said, well, we'll take all of his cash. This is all coming out of the White House.
New York State Attorney General Letitia James told ABC News if the former president does not pay the fine,
we will ask the judge to seize his assets.
And back to the Trump town hall. He also said this about Nikki Haley, refusing to drop out of the Republican White House race.
She's not working. She's here. She's down by 30, 35 points. and everybody knows her. You're not supposed to lose your home state.
Well, the primary there is Saturday. House Republicans will question President Biden's brother James in private today in their impeachment inquiry, trying to tie the president to his family's overseas business dealings.
Meanwhile, Hunter Biden's lawyers are moving to dismiss his tax case in California after former FBI informant Alexander Smirnov was indicted for allegedly lying to investigators about Hunter and Joe Biden receiving $5 million each from a Ukrainian energy company. Smirnov is now also accused of having extensive ties to Russian intelligence.
That's Fox's Brooks Singman. 2 men are now charged with murder in the shooting that caused chaos last week at the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl victory parade. Police say they pulled out guns during a fight, killing 1 person, injuring 22 others. America's listening to Fox News.
46 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. The city of Chicago will sue multiple oil and gas companies and the American Petroleum Institute over unproved claims of climate deception. The lawsuit claims the companies and the institute downplayed the effects of so-called climate change, causing the crisis, they say, to worsen. Cause of a fire in a building on the north side Tuesday is under investigation. That blaze broke out at the apartment near West Wellington and North Broadway in Lakeview. Chicago Fire reports there were no injuries, but multiple residents have been displaced. On the far south side right now, 130th Street, east and westbound between Indiana and Eberhart is closed. Police and fire activity there. CTA buses are being rerouted after a U-Haul crashes into the Little Calumet River this morning. Again, that's the far south side Riverdale neighborhood this morning. 130th shut down between Indiana and Eberhart. A 23-year-old woman is dead, struck by a train in Northbrook this week. It happened around 6:20 on Monday afternoon. A woman crossing the tracks near the Northbrook station. And Governor J.B. Pritzker will announce his proposed budget today, but some are urging for drastic changes on how the state handles illegal migrants. Senate Republicans say it's possible there could be a nearly $1 billion deficit heading into the new fiscal year. Senate Minority Leader John Curran says driving that deficit is the taxpayer cost of providing non-citizens with subsidized services.
This governor has spent 6 years creating a non-citizen welfare state. He is spending your taxpayer dollars, the taxpayer dollars of Illinois citizens, working families, to create that non-citizen welfare state. We have opposed that at every step, and we will continue to.
Pritzker will deliver that address at noon. Number 17 Fighting Illini go for their 3rd win in a row when they visit Penn State. But they'll not play at the Bryce Jordan Center tonight. They'll play in historic Rec Hall, where Penn State usually plays volleyball and hosts its wrestling matches. Rec Hall was built in 1928. The news, a service of Quick Delivery Service. Visit quickdelivery.com when you need same-day delivery of your routes, ground delivery when you need it from safe, licensed professionals. Go to quickdelivery.com now to schedule your delivery. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager believes there are scary people among us.
I have known all my life that the battle for good is a very, very difficult battle. So this doesn't surprise me. Between Hamas and Israel, that there are people who are neither Jew nor Muslim, and they support Hamas. These people are frightening, actually.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
Don't let everyday aches and pains keep you from living your best life.
I don't think I really understood what people meant when they talked about pain until I started feeling it myself.
Start feeling better every day with Relief Factor, a daily supplement designed to support your body's fight against aches and pains.
Not only do I move better without pain, I just feel better.
Created by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that target 4 metabolic pathways to address pain. Relief Factor doesn't just mask aches and pains, it helps reduce or even eliminate them.
Today, I do the things I love, and it doesn't occur to me to think about pain.
you can feel the difference all day, every day.
Join the over 1 million people who have tried Relief Factor's 3-week Quick Start Kit. It's only $19.95 and comes with our Feel Better or Your Money Back guarantee. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4RELIEF.
Looking to give your home a one-of-a-kind makeover? It's time to think outside the box with Forever Remodeling. We're highly skilled to design and build kitchens, bathrooms, and basements using state-of-the-art 3D design software, customer communication software, and a dedicated project manager throughout your project. With Forever Remodeling, imagine a kitchen that's an extension of your personality, a bathroom that's a spa-like sanctuary, and a basement that's a canvas for your dreams. Reach out to us at 847-809-3355 or visit foreverremodeling.com.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Hi, I'm Susan Hathaway Altman, a conservative leader running for Congress in the 11th District. I have the heart to fight for you and an America where citizens are first and individual rights and freedoms are upheld. My common sense, practical approach comes from 30 years as a prominent corporate business leader. And as a catalyst for Congress to work together, I'll tackle inflation, border crisis, safety issues, academic excellence, and more. Go to SusanForCongress.com. Early voting open now. I'm Susan Hathaway Altman, and I approve this message. Paid for by the Susan for Congress Committee.
6:07. Let's get an update on the roads. A service of the AM 560 store. T-shirts, hoodies, and more from your favorite AM 560 brands, including Proft University. What we told you about that far south side Riverdale situation, closed due to police activity, 130th east and westbound between Indiana and Eberhart. Police and fire are there right now as a vehicle has apparently gone into the Little Calumet River. Oak Lawn, an accident, Central and 107th. Tri-State, jam-ups already northbound right at the Reagan I-88. Bishop Ward jam solid between Stony Island and the Ryan merge, and the Ryan at 13 minutes in from 95th. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. In our QC Kinetics Weather Center, here is Steve Williams.
Some sun, it'll be a warm day. High today 62, partly cloudy, passing shower late tonight, low 42. A stray shower tomorrow morning, otherwise a cloudy, mild day, high 55. Sunny to partly cloudy Friday, much colder, high Friday 39. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer. 46 right now. Your next news update comes your way at 6:30. Breaking news as it happens, and Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. What's happening between BLM Brandon and the state-funded media, the NPR Times?
Yeah, they had a little dust-up yesterday. He's trying to improve his image and meet with reporters, but he chooses which ones he wants, and it was going to be 20 minutes. Now it's 10 minutes. And tell us what happened yesterday at the Sun-Times.
Well, it was Monday, but yeah, he had a scheduled sit-down with the NPR Times' Politburo, and as Franz Spielman reports,
whatever happened to Michael Sneeding?
She's still there.
She's still there?
Yeah. Yes. When Press Secretary Ronnie Reese, seen canoodling, insisted the entire editorial board meeting be off the record. The editorial page editor refused to accept those unprecedented terms. Johnson's mouthpiece made the argument for him. He never said a word, and then he signed off the Zoom session. Zoom? Like, can't you just walk across the street? Go to the... Okay. Anyway.
Dan, some people have COVID, okay?
Yeah,
if it saves one life.
I assume all the plexiglass guards and idiot circles are still up at the NPR Times in the broom closet where they publish that pamphlet. But regardless, I hate when, again, allies don't get along. We were talking about this yesterday with BLM Brandon and Jelly Belly and and Tony. I just, you just want the party to be united, present a united front, one complementing the other, the sum being greater than the whole being greater than the sum of the parts, and all of that business and so forth. So he can't even have a civil conversation with his
allies?
Allies, his comm shop, part of his comm shop. And, and they have to, again, keep up appearances. Oh, this has to be on the record. You're going to pretend to be an executive. We're going to pretend to be journalists. So let's everybody keep up appearances. He's not playing his part, BLM Brandon.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could also text us 64636, type in DA, then a quick comment.
And this has mouthpiece for the men and women of always in power in Chicago, Fran Spielman. Another phony journalist. If Mayor Brandon Johnson, and that's how deep her voice is, by the way. If Mayor Brandon Johnson even had a honeymoon with the news media, it's over after less than 10 months in office. The City Hall press corps has turned hostile, openly frustrated with a mayor who is seldom accessible and evasive when he does take questions. Oh, boy. Now we got a little bit of conflict, and that sells pamphlets. That gets people's attention. So now we have a show that we can watch, and we can obsess about it, and we can pretend that they're not on the same side, and we can pretend that this conflict is real. Wonderful. That should draw our attention away from matters of actual importance, don't you think? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. What do you think of those communist pamphleteers at the Sun-Times taking it to BLM Brandon, speaking truth to power? Huh? It's turning around. Oh, he's going to get his comeuppance, right? Is Brandon Johnson about to be hoisted by his own petard? We'll have the highlights, 10 p.m.
News at 11.
I mean, really? Is anybody buying this? Anybody buying this little show that's being put on for you? I mean, they know you like the show, so they're putting one on for you. The question is, will you continue to pay attention to it? Will you continue to pull up a seat and watch it? And believe what they're telling you is true. And if you don't like that show, they got some others. We're going to sue the big oil companies. The city of Chicago is taking on big oil. I don't have time. I got a black wife and 3 black children at home, and I'm raising all of them. Now I'm suing the big oil companies. I don't have time to talk to Fran Spielman and her communist friends at that NPR Times pamphlet. Right?
So what for climate? What is it?
The damage that by denying science, they're negatively impacting the climate, our shoreline, the air we breathe, the water you drink. They're evil incarnate, and they need to pay up because we need the money for migrants. Don't you know? You don't like that? I got another one for you. The cops are getting pulled out of the schools finally after ShotSpotter's end date has been announced. So we had a big week. He doesn't have time.
Well,
nobody in America. No. Whoa. Hello. Stop. No one, not a single person in the Western world questions Brandon Johnson's leadership. And that's coming right from the source. He said so.
He was busy last night. He tweeted out, he was at WGN Studios thanking Tom Skilling for serving the greatest freaking city in the world for nearly 50 years. Through the good weather and the bad weather and every day in between, Dan, that is what he tweeted.
Did he present the key to the city to Tom Skilling and the thruple that he's a part of?
Oh, the thruple. Thruple's still together. Thruple's going to be traveling more now. No, he
one
gave him a
thruple
plaque.
begets another. So you got Pritzker, Preckwinkle, and Brandon Johnson, and Tom Skilling and his 2 boy toys. I think they should double date.
They've been thruppling for a while now. I think they're really committed.
No, of course. And hey, I know love is love.
I know. Love is
And it's that's what life is about. It's about who you love and
loves you
which
back.
two men love you back.
It's out there. It's not like we're not making this up. We know. I mean,
No.
I know.
And it's no. This
It's going on for whatever.
And I hope nobody's finding anything untoward about any of this because it's all completely normal. Center cut. And it's all to be celebrated.
Oh, they're celebrating, all right.
Absolutely.
I'm surprised they weren't up there with him when he got the award.
Well, I don't know. I don't know, the nature of it. I just know that we should obviously provide full-throated, and I do mean that, celebration. So we have all right, so you got the big oil suit. Wow. That's a headline grabber.
That's going to do something.
You got cops out of the schools. You got ShotSpotter off the streets. So, I mean, it's going pretty good. And then, I think the solution for BLM Brandon and this hostile press in Chicago he has to deal with. So hostile. When will the press give Brandon Johnson a break? I'm so sick of this press hounding these good Democrats in office. It's so unfair. Right-wing extremists at the NPR Times, the network affiliates. So I think there's an easy solution. I think he just takes a page out of the Lightfoot playbook.
Yeah.
No more honky. I'm not talking to honkies anymore.
Oh, I remember that.
Just put a big like honkies with an X through it flag on City Hall, and then we'll know. And if it comes down, then we'll know he's willing to talk to honkies again.
Well, and the hypocrisy because she's married to a honky. Yeah.
I wonder what the new Soros-owned WBBM News' take is going to be on this. WBBM Radio, it's the news talk station in Chicago. Gives you just the news. I like to listen to WBBM for just the headlines, just the news. I just want to know what's going on. Well, then why are you listening to WBBM? If you didn't realize it was left-wing agitprop and their slant on everything previously, well, the mask has been removed. Now that Soros' snot-nosed kid has orchestrated this $415 million buyout of Odyssey. Well, Odyssey's debt, which makes the Soros Fund the largest stakeholder in Odyssey, which owns WBBM News here, WBBM Radio, in addition to a bunch of similarly situated, quote-unquote, news stations in other big markets. So you got the NPR Times, and you got your BBM News. I read for the headlines, just want to know what's going on. What's going on in the neighborhoods, the street, because these are neighborhood street people. They got their ear to the ground.
Remember after the election when Bernie Tafoya, who I love to death because he does that At Issue program on the weekends, remember when he came up to me and he said, well, we know what's going on. I'm like, well, what's going on? He said, Vallis is joining AM 560 and Dan Proft's out.
Yeah.
Well, you're really on it, Bernie. Yeah. I don't know who the heck made that one up.
I'm sure Bernie Tafoya was the last to know that the Soros Fund was coming in and buying out the owner of his employer.
And guess who Soros' new love is?
At issue is Craig Dellimore, by the way.
I'm sorry, it was Craig Dellimore. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Not Bernie Tafoya. I think
Yeah.
Bernie Tafoya is retired. I'm not mistaken. But no, it was Craig Dellimore that said that to me about Paul Vallis.
Yeah, I actually like Craig, but I mean, one of the few I do.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, he is. He's professional. He's actually a smart guy, and he actually does try and play it down the middle. There's a couple of those left.
Bernie is still on the station. I hear Mike Scott screaming like a madman in the hallway.
All right, so there you go. I'm glad. I'm so
Relax,
glad.
Mike.
Well, he is for now, but we'll see what Soros wants. He may want a little bit more edge than Craig Dellimore and Tafoya can give him when it comes to reading the news in quotation marks. Yeah. Just go down the dial there, or up the dial from us, I guess, and to get the news. Yeah, that's what you're getting. Take the fishhook out of your mouth when you go up the dial. Phil and Darian, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, guys. Hey, listen, shame on the media, the hostile media, for thinking that he is accessible when they want him. Don't they know? And everybody else, don't we all know that he has a black wife and black kids to take care of? Have a nice day.
Thanks for the call, Phil. Will and Skokie.
Hey, good morning. This is just an extension of what they did with Trump. With Trump, they're trying to take down Trump, but they're also trying to set the precedent for civil lawsuits against corporations because the COVID funds are running out, the COVID slush fund that they had, and they lead a new slush fund. And if you go after the corporations, you get these huge rulings like the New York judge did. This is why they're going after the oil companies. Watch them go after all these other people with lawfare and civil suits for huge amounts of money so they can basically fill their coffers. Also, we got to remember
not just fill their coffers, but like the big tobacco litigation, it fills the coffers of all their trial lawyer friends who then fill their campaign coffers.
Exactly. It's basically the left feeds on itself, and that's why it's self-contradictory, and it's going to crumble. But unfortunately, if they got enough judges going through the civil suit route where they have a lower standard, they're going to get crap loads of money. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, thanks for the call. Well, right. I mean, they're parasites that always need a new host, lest they have to, right, as he says, feast on one another. Yeah. Dan in Salem, Wisconsin.
Hi, Dan and Amy. The only reason why I'll put on BBM News Radio, I live in Salem Township in Wisconsin, is for the weather report. That's it. Otherwise, everything else makes me sick.
You don't have a you don't have a phone that shows you what the weather is when you turn it on. No.
Well, I got a business, so I have a flip phone. It's real rugged because I'm into tree work.
Oh, okay.
I carry it up in the aerial lift with me. Those smartphones, they crack easy,
Well, all right. Yeah, the weather report, I guess,
hey,
up in the trees.
One more thing. That Chicago Tribune, you know what that's good for? Cleaning fish on. That's about it.
Thanks for the call, Dan. Oh, boy.
Oh, boy, what?
No, Dan from Salem has opened up a can of worms. I don't know how to... I mean, it's a lot for everybody to handle, so I don't want to burden people. The rift between the NPR Times and Brandon Johnson is a lot to process. I don't want to weight people down as they're just beginning their day, but State Representative Kelly Cassidy, she's a lesbian, she wants you to know.
She's a Democrat from Chicago.
She's a lesbian. She's got purple streaks in her. She wants you to know.
All right. Well, I know now.
She tells everybody, so I just want to make sure everybody knows because it'd be nice if you acknowledge it if you do happen to run into her and
Who's
congratulate
not gay
her.
anymore? Okay, go on. Oh yeah, what is she proposing? Like $500 for abortions or something?
Oh, I don't know, probably. But no, she's. There's a rift between her and, by extension, the LGBTQ2S++++ community and the Chicago Tribune because it turns out.
Uh-oh. Should I sit down for this?
The Chicago Tribune editorial board is, quote, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little emotional.
Take your time, Dan. Let it breathe.
It's all male.
Oh, my God, no.
And nearly all white. Voters should look beyond yet another unfortunate decision by the all-male and nearly all-white Tribune editorial board and consider the facts as reported by the Tribune's own news team. Because the crime that the Chicago Tribune editorial board committed, in addition to being all male, and by the way, and nearly all white. By the way, Kelly Cassidy is nearly all white too, but I digress. That editorial board is they're menos, those men on that editorial board, right?
Right.
Men in name only. Or maybe Mikos, men in chromosomes only, because they're not actually men, as we well know. But she's very upset. The nearly all-white Kelly Cassidy is very, very upset about this nearly all-white editorial board at the Tribune, another pamphlet, if you're not familiar with it, that purports to cover Chicago, because that editorial board endorsed Eileen O'Neill Burke for Cook County State's Attorney over Clayton Harris, who is not nearly all white.
I was right. State Rep Kelly Cassidy, who's lesbian, right, Dan? She wants
you to know that.
Right, but she wants to propose a new measure that would provide a $500 tax credit for abortion providers, abortion seekers, legal guardians of abortion seekers, and public school teachers who moved to Illinois due to abortion bans.
You know, I got an idea.
Isn't that great?
To make this more of an abortion magnet, if you live in another state, why don't you bring your dead baby here and we'll give you $500 for it? Can
This is
somebody propose that?
Like we're just we have stacks of tax dollar cash. We're just going to pay people. We're already paying for people's abortions. We're going to give them a $500 tax credit to kill their baby.
How do you like the show so far? How do you like the show, the 2024 Chicago, Illinois show brought to you by the new Marxists in charge of your city, your county, your state? You enjoying it? It's kind of entertaining, isn't it? From a distance. We'll take more of your calls later. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Frank Vance, co-owner of Egan Vance Insurance Agency on Chicago's Northwest Side and a customer of Signature Bank. In my line of work, we pride ourselves on being there for our clients when they need it the most, and we recognize when someone does the same for us. As Egan Vance was expanding, we wanted to buy a much sought-after building in the neighborhood. We couldn't waste any time. I called Signature Bank, and that was all it took. I didn't have to talk to multiple people in siloed departments with multiple forms to fill out. One call did it all. As the one who was always looking out for my clients, it was a great change to know that my bank, Signature Bank, was looking out for me.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
All right, I can't wait to do it. I might even do it early today, and that's take Balance of Nature. Why? Not getting enough fruits and veggies on my own, and that's where Balance of Nature comes in. 31 whole fruits and vegetables, real food, real science, real nutrition. And people who take it are addicted. They have increased energy, the ability to keep doing the things they love even as they age. And there is a wide variety of those yummy fruits and vegetables. So feel better and feel good that you know you're doing something for yourself. 800-246-8751, 800-246-8751. Use discount code Chicago or simply go online to balanceofnature.com. Discount code Chicago.
As most Americans suffer financially, gold just hit an all-time high. Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and this is why you need a physical gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. To learn more, text the word SHELTER to 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs. Secure your IRA or your 401k right now. Text SHELTER to 989898 to request your free info kit right now.
Hi, this is Carl Amari.
I'm Lisa Wolf. Join us every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. for all things entertainment on Hollywood 360.
If you love classic radio shows, The Shadow, Jack Benny, The Lone Ranger, Dragnet, Gunsmoke, and many more, we have them for you on Hollywood 360.
We'll also present trivia contests with prizes, showbiz news, celebrity interviews, games, and movie reviews.
So don't miss Hollywood 360 every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Got some funny texts about Tom Skilling. People didn't know that he was...
in the throuple situation? Well, he had a boyfriend. Well, he has had a boyfriend for a while, but that boyfriend got a boyfriend. So now they all live together.
The important thing is don't ask a lot of impertinent questions. Just celebrate it. Celebrate it. You better. Celebrate it or else. You know, it's one of the watch phrases of your identitarian neighbors in the suburbs. Those tolerant, compassionate, inclusive do-gooders. Celebrate it or else. The more depraved, the better. That's the subtext.
Remember, silence is violence. All right.
Yeah, 6:36. All right, we'll get to Tony Fauci. I mean, we have a dignitary like him in town. one must acknowledge him, and we will. He is science, after all.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Dan and Amy, 46 degrees, and we'll start on the far south side, Riverdale neighborhood. 130th east and westbound between Indiana and Eberhard is shut down due to police activity. CTA buses are being rerouted after a vehicle crashes into the Little Calumet River this morning. The Biden administration announcing over $1 billion of student loan debt forgiveness. Borrowers in the Saving on a Valuable Education, or SAVE program, who've made at least 10 years of payments will be receiving from an email from the president today that amounts to an estimated 53,000 borrowers. The U.S. vetoing a resolution at the UN calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza.
Will not bring about a durable peace. Instead, it could extend the fighting between Hamas and Israel.
The Jackson County, Missouri prosecutor has announced that 2 adults in the Super Bowl parade shooting have been charged with murder.
Murder in the second degree, felony murder. Again, the underlying felony for that felony murder is the unlawful use of a weapon, and that is an A felony carrying to a range up to a life sentence in the state of Missouri.
Police identified who fired the bullet that killed the one deceased victim, Lisa Lopez Galvin, but both men faced the same charges. GOP presidential hopeful Nikki Haley criticizing the age of both her political rivals. In an appearance on News Nation, Haley argued that both President Biden and Donald Trump are too old. And Haley yesterday told South Carolina voters she's staying in the race.
I'm willing to take the cuts, the bruises, and the name-calling, because the only way you get to the blessing is by going through the pain.
Former President Donald Trump said last night the race between he and Haley was settled 3 months ago.
She's here. She's down by 30, 35 points. And everybody knows her. You're not supposed to lose your home state. Shouldn't happen anyway. And she's losing it big.
We're watching this morning as a dead satellite, size of a city bus, is returning back to Earth. ERS-2 is one of the European Space Agency's most advanced observation satellites. Now, most of that satellite is set to burn up on re-entry this morning. However, there's no clear prediction on whether or if any of the remaining debris will actually land on land. A single study showing reading scores among Chicago public school students may be improving. Harvard and Stanford study shows students in the local district are ranked first among other large cities in post-pandemic progress, but the study goes against the grain of many other peer-reviewed studies showing dramatic drops in math and reading and language arts in CPS and the suburbs during and post-pandemic. The cause of a fire at a building on the north side is under investigation. Fire broke out Tuesday in an apartment complex near West Wellington and North Broadway in Lakeview. Chicago Fire reports there were no injuries, but several residents were displaced. And Governor J.B. Pritzker will announce his proposed budget today, but some are urging for drastic changes in how the state handles migrants, as there could be a nearly $1 billion deficit heading into the new fiscal year. Chicago sports. Blackhawks will try to get back in the win column when they host Philadelphia tonight. And the number 12 Fighting Illini go for their third Big Ten Hoops win in a row when they visit Penn State. The news a service of Crosscom Public Adjusters. If your home or business has an insurance claim, Crosscom will help you get what you need and have coming to you. They've helped thousands. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher is sure Biden isn't the nominee.
We are in big trouble. The man is, and I'm sorry, it's unfortunate. It happens. I respect our seniors. I want Biden to live to be 100. He doesn't have 4 years in him, and you know it. What's this guy going to be like in 2026, 2027? He's not going to be the nominee.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
A lot of times people don't understand what a supplement is. A supplement is in addition to your regular foods. It's really just an incredible formula, and I've been doing nutrients for 43 years. It has a tremendous effect on how I feel, my well-being. I love the way it gives me all my supplements for fruits and vegetables, which I take a lot of anyway. But I find that this gives me that supplement that I was missing before.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order, plus $10 off any additional sets with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
If you've been turned down for a mortgage because of your credit or your credit challenge and haven't even considered purchasing a home, I have great news. Team Hochberg is dedicated to helping listeners establish and enhance their credit so you can purchase a home. I'll personally work with the first 10 listeners, either establish or enhance their credit over the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months, or however long it takes for you to qualify for a mortgage. If you're tired of renting, living in your parents' basement, or want to refinance to pay off your debt, but are trapped because you have no credit or your credit challenged, stop procrastinating and call me now at 855-56-DAVID or visit 56david.com. I will personally work with the first 10 callers. So let's go. Team Hochberg has helped thousands of radio listeners establish and enhance their credit, but we can't help if you don't call 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, MLS 1124061.
Is your IRS tax debt making you feel anxious? The professionals at Allies Tax Relief are ready to negotiate your fresh start. Call them now, 800-230-5174.
37. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time of service of Mattress Firm. Don't miss huge savings on better sleep during Mattress Firm's President's Day sale. For a limited time, shop in-store to score a Sleepy Queen mattress for only $89.99. That's over 60% off and the lowest price ever. So hurry in today. The deal is only here while supplies last. Far south side, Riverdale neighborhood, 130th remains closed with a police and fire response to a vehicle in the water in the Little Calumet River. I-65 report of an accident, 2 left lanes blocked. It's northbound between US 30 and 61st. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Sun near record warmth today, a high of 62. Currently 46 at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Sad little man, you better run now while you know you can. Sad little man, you don't fool me, you sad little man.
One of my favorite COVID-era songs, 5 Times August. This is great. I hope they play that at Tony Fauci's funeral. Speaking of which, Science was in town, stopping by UIC, for some glad handing, backslapping.
Oh, I'm sure it paid events.
Oh,
made a
of course.
personal appearance. He's got to make his money still, Dan,
And ABC 7 News was able to get an exclusive with Tony Fauci.
Oh, my God.
Where they can...
Do we talk like this all morning long?
Yeah, let's talk your news guy voice. Talk and of course lob up some softballs like they do for the local politicians. Oh boy!
Any hard questions whatsoever?
No. I know what you're thinking. Oh, it's so interesting. I'm glad Tony Fauci's in town. I wonder what worries him these days, because I want to align my anxiety with whatever concerns Tony Fauci, don't you think?
Can I guess what worries him
Sure.
these days?
You can guess.
Not enough people have their 8th shot.
Close.
It's really unfortunate to have an anti-science approach at a time when science is responsible for the development of interventions that have saved millions of lives worldwide.
And when he says science, of course, he means himself. Because he is science.
Did you ever know that you're my hero?
Mm-hmm. He is the wind beneath your mask. Tony Fauci, thinking, he's a reflective guy, thinking about how could we do it better? Mm-hmm. What's the big takeaway from the last 3 years, which in some places, like Chicago, persist? Our response to COVID. Lessons learned? He's got a few.
Well, I think it was the fractionation of our healthcare response. It wasn't unified. Some cities, some states were doing it one way. Some cities and some states were doing another.
More central planning.
Yes.
Wait, what?
Hey, we nailed it.
Lack of one size fits all was the problem during COVID. Next time around, no laboratories of democracy. We impose from D.C. That's the translation. How could it be anything else? We can't let Florida do something different than, say, Illinois, because then Florida makes Illinois look bad, and it makes us look bad. Don't you love it? The real problem with the COVID response, not jackbooted enough. One size fits all, imposed from D.C., no waivers, no exemptions. But anyway, now that he's in retirement, he's not getting distracted by things. He's back to his laser-like focus on what? Yeah, you know.
My job is science, medicine, and public health to save people's lives.
Oh.
I focus like a laser beam on that.
Get him a
and
cape.
I'm focusing on that. You put the other things aside as being distractions.
He doesn't have time for your politics. He's too busy saving lives, because that's what he does. That's just what he does, gosh darn it, and you're not going to stop him. Oh, man. That guy is really something. He is really a piece of work. And
He's not humble at all.
Oh, boy.
What
I am
does
science.
that word even mean?
I am science. I mean,
I am woman, hear me roar.
Look, he doesn't play politics. He's never played politics. He's never operated outside his lane.
No.
And he's going to rewrite that history just like he's trying to rewrite the history of the COVID response. Oh, by the way, some rather distressing news out, speaking of science.
Yeah.
This study that was done on vaccines, on the COVID vaccines specifically, that was published in a scientific journal called Vaccine. I'm sure Fauci hasn't had time to quite digest it yet, and which is why ABC7 was nice enough not to ask him about this. You know, I don't want him to be made uncomfortable. He doesn't have time for these distractions.
No.
Saving lives, goodness sakes. Anyway, researchers from the Global Vaccine Data Network analyzed 99 million people who received jabs in 8 countries and monitored for increases in 13 medical conditions. Listen to Fox News medical contributor Dr. Jeanette Neshawat explain sort of the top line of the study.
99 million people worldwide who were vaccinated were looked at. And what the researchers did, and this research and this data was published in a journal last week called Vaccine. And what they did was they specifically looked for 13 different medical conditions. For example, they looked for myocarditis, which is inflammation of the heart. They looked for blood disorders that caused blood clots. They looked for neurological disorders, like, for example, Guillain-Barré syndrome, which is a disorder of the nervous system. Then they looked for other types of diseases as well. And what they found was that there was an increase in these types of medical conditions after taking the vaccine. And even though it was a small increase, this is important information because, for example, if you have a history of blood clots, you want to talk to your doctor before you go out and get this vaccine that could make you more prone to developing another blood clot, which could be life-threatening. Or if you have a history of inflammation in your heart or inflammation in your brain or your spinal cord, you need to be aware of these side effects. Now, potential side effects from vaccines are not new, but this further confirms that they do exist and they must be acknowledged.
Well, I mean,
Hey, thanks for letting me know now.
A lot of people don't know if they have an inflamed heart or are they're prone to blood clotting. That's why 9 people died. Remember, after taking the J&J shot? The one shot, you don't have to get 2, you 1 and you're done. And people were done after taking that because they were prone to blood clots, but they didn't know it, doctor.
We'll get to the results of that study momentarily, but Dr. Peter Marks, who is the FDA commissioner at present, was before the COVID Select Committee in the House that's chaired by Dr. Brad Wenstrup. I think he may be the only doctor in the House, pun intended. From Ohio. And listen to this exchange about the VAERS reporting of adverse outcomes. Remember, this is the FDA's self-reporting system for vaccine injury.
As of February 2024, VAERS reports for COVID-19 vaccines total significantly higher than all other vaccines combined since 1990, as reported. This is a surprising figure. Dr. Marks, was the government prepared for such an avalanche of reports to VAERS? And it kind of goes with what we just mentioned. So,
Chair Wenstrup, thank you so much for that question. And I apologize about your name before. It shows when you're nervous, things can happen. But the point is extremely well taken. We tried to be prepared for that. But the avalanche of reports was tremendous, and it again required retasking people on the fly I think and I'll let my CDC colleagues speak to this. We had to hugely staff up and had many meetings working to increase our ability to go through these reports.
Well, as long as you had a lot of meetings about it, that's the important thing.
But they hid the data from the American people. We're finding out now that there was an avalanche of adverse effects. I mean, we knew of some, but that's a big. I mean, that's irresponsible of them.
Even if they had organized it in a competent and timely fashion, who was going to platform it? I mean, it would be nice that would be accessible and timely, but that's beyond the capacity of the FDA. Although it's nice to hear Dr. Marks is very good-humored about it. Not a big deal, I guess. And we've talked to many infectious disease experts over the last several months about this. Anybody have a handle on the VAERS data? Anybody looking at that? What are we going to do, and where's congressional action, including with the Select Committee, to propose some sort of response, remediation for the vaccine injured, since it was all but imposed on people by the state? Oh, and you may... Your FDA commissioner may be surprised about the avalanche, as he described it, of VAERS reports. But once you look at this study that we were just mentioning, shouldn't be surprised. And this is the kind of stuff that if you talked about, you were an anti-vax interloper that was killing grandma and grandpa and keeping us mired in the pandemic and so on and so forth. Because God forbid we treat anybody like an adult and say, here's everything we know about competing risks and benefits. Now make your own decision. God forbid we do that in a free society. The results: increased risk of health conditions after COVID vaccine from this study. Swelling of the brain and spinal cord after the first dose of the Moderna vax, a 3.78 times increase. Not 3.7.8%, 3.78-fold, almost quadruple increase. Now, it's swelling of the brain and spinal cord, especially for young, otherwise healthy people. The risk of that happening is de minimis, so it's still relatively de minimis, but it's increased. And so then you say, well, okay, give me the same profile of a person and say, what's the risk associated with getting COVID? And particularly when something else forgotten in this entire conversation, just completely dismissed, the therapeutics to treat COVID as opposed to the vax and the risk profile on that. That's how you treat people like adults. You have that conversation with your doctor, with your public health official. But no. Shut up. If you disagree, if you ask any questions, you're an anti-vaxxer, you're a tinfoil hat, you're a heretic, and you need to be ostracized from society. You need to pay more for your health insurance. You can't send your kids to school. You can't go to work.
Nope.
You can't go to social
Shut up,
events.
put your mask on, and get jabbed.
You wear the scarlet UV unvaxxed.
Oh, you had a good.
3.78%, Moderna first dose, swelling of 3.78 fold, I should say, swelling of brain and spinal cord, Moderna first dose. Blood clots, AstraZeneca, 3.23 fold increase. Guillain-Barré, which you heard the doctor mention. AstraZeneca first dose, 2.49 fold increase. Myocarditis, Pfizer first dose, 2.78 fold increase. Myocarditis, Moderna first dose, 3.48 fold increase, more than Pfizer. Pericarditis, Moderna first dose, 1.74 fold increase. Myocarditis, Pfizer second dose, 2.86 fold increase. Listen to this. Myocarditis, Moderna second dose, 6.10 fold increase. Pericarditis, AstraZeneca third dose, 6.91 fold increase. Pericarditis, myocarditis, heart conditions. And then you go third and fourth doses for myocarditis and pericarditis for Pfizer and Moderna, and it's 2 to 2.5 fold increases the incidence, the risk of myocarditis, pericarditis. These are serious medical conditions.
Yeah, they could be
especially
fatal.
Especially if you're older and you have other health challenges. But no. Don't talk about this. Shh. Take your jab. Robert, Bloomingdale.
Oh, it's so disgusting. I mean, you're absolutely right, Dan and Amy. Putting medical experiments out there over with the almighty dollar being the top of the top of the line. And the second thing I wanted to say is, I want to see the question I'd like to ask Dr. Fauci is, how does it feel to be in a box with the bugs actually chewing you alive, my friend? Thank you.
All right, Robert. Jeff, Cal City.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. I think when Trump becomes president, he should take money from, say, the Agriculture Department, the Education Department, and he should pay reparations to those people who had vaccine reactions from the shots that they got.
All right. Thanks for the call, Jeff. Well, I mean, we talked about it the other week with that showdown that British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak had with the Scottish gentleman who was vaccine injured, and at the national health system, the government health system in the UK, they have some sort of yellow card system to compensate the vaccine injured. It's bureaucratic, it's untimely, I'm sure it's a mess because it's centrally planned. But where's something similar in this country? I think that's a fair question. Richard, Blue Island.
Hey, Dan and Amy. I've got Dr. Fauci's song. It's called Vaccine. Vaccine, you don't have to put on a red light. Put on a red light. Vaccine, put on a red light.
Vaccine.
Okay, Richard, Sting. Glenn, Oakbrook.
Yeah, good morning, Dan and Amy. Rand Paul had a good article in Imprimis December 2023 about the lessons from the great COVID cover-up. And he references C.S. Lewis' description of the moral busybody. Mm-hmm. Of all the tyrannies, a tyranny sincerely exercised for the good of its victims may be the most oppressive. Those who torment us for our own good will torment us without end, for they do so with the approval of their own conscience.
Yeah, that's a classic from C.S. Lewis, who had a keen understanding of the human condition. It's unfortunate more Americans don't. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that is MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save many families up to $500 a month, and that is huge. But it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. double. Medishare works, too. It's been around for 30 years. Members have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now. You'll get a price within 2 minutes. So see what you can save. This is a very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. Call 844-57-BIBLE. That's 844-57-BIBLE. 844-57-BIBLE.
Hey, Dan, are you there? Because I want to talk about
Yes,
your
I'm here.
golf game. Somebody, and I won't say who, had their first subpar round in a while at Old Florida yesterday. And who is that somebody, Dan?
Yes, thank you for acknowledging that. Yes, it's been a long road, but yeah, it was nice to. It was only 1 under, but
Hey.
it was nice to get under par. It had been a minute since I had to make some swing modifications, and so it had been a struggle.
Okay.
And I often thought about feeding myself to the gators at that course, but I resisted, and for one shining moment, I temporarily prevailed. So, as the late, great Toby Keith once sang, I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm good once as I ever was, or something like that.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
All right. Did you know the biggest source of energy loss in your home is not your windows? It's your attic. Permaseal is thrilled to announce that their latest innovation in home comfort is their attic insulation service. Attic insulation is designed to maximize energy efficiency, ensuring your home stays comfortable year-round. And you can trust Permaseal installers to get your new insulation with precision and care. They'll ensure that your attic is properly insulated for optimal results. If you're not testing, you're guessing. So Permaseal certified installers use digital imaging cameras and a blower door test so they can get right to the source. You'll have more comfort, you'll have lower utility bills, and your family, they say, will be healthier because old insulation can contain dust, mold, and other contaminants. Call Permaseal today for a free estimate, 800-421-SEAL, 800-421-7325, or visit permaseal.net.
DC Export is celebrating 50 years. With the vision and hard work of their founders, Dominic and Carol Cacciamiglio, dedication of employees and loyal customers, DC Exports has achieved this milestone. DC Export and Domestic Packing Incorporated was founded in 1974. Beginning in a building not much bigger than a garage, the company now boasts 2 Chicago area facilities and a warehouse in Greenville, South Carolina. They offer nationwide packing, crating, container loading and unloading, as well as warehousing with heavy lift capabilities. To ensure proper handling and packing of your shipments, they provide custom-made boxes, crates, skids, and corrosion control solutions. DC Transport provides transportation services throughout America. From container drayage to super heavy haul loads, they can help you move just about anything. Go to DCExport.com to get a quote on packing, crating, transportation, or trade show services. DCExport.com. That's DCExport.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hunter Biden didn't snort cocaine, he snorted sawdust. It's not cocaine, it's sawdust, say his lawyers. That and other follies from the FUBAR justice system when former Assistant Director of Counterintel at the FBI, Kevin Brock, joins us at 7:07.
But now let's head into that newsroom, the best in the business. Here's Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
Dan and Amy, Chicago alleges climate deception in a new lawsuit. Residents are displaced after a Northside apartment fire. Lawsuit against a University of Chicago doctor alleges negligence. Brookfield Zoo offering a new 90th anniversary perk. And the Blackhawks host the Flyers while Illinois visits Penn State. WIND Chicago News Times, 7 o'clock.
A warning to former President Trump. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. From New York's Attorney General, after a judge ordered him to pay a $355 million fine in a Trump Organization fraud ruling, Letitia James tells ABC News.
If he does not have funds to pay off the judgment, then we will seek, judgment enforcement mechanisms in court.
Like seizing his assets. The former president tells Fox's Laura Ingraham.
It is a form of Navalny. It is a form of communism or fascism.
Likening himself, as he also faces 4 looming criminal trials, to the Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny, who died at a prison Friday.
They're trying to damage me so they can win another election.
Oh, he said that at a Fox town hall in South Carolina, where Nikki Haley said earlier in the day she will not drop out of the race ahead of Saturday's Republican primary.
She just can't get herself to get out. She's doing poorly in the polls. Look, if she was doing well, I'd understand it. But she's doing very poorly.
Now, President Biden will be in California focused on his re-election campaign with a second day of big money fundraisers. The president's brother, James, will be behind closed doors. House Republicans will question him privately in their Biden impeachment inquiry, probing the family's overseas business dealings.
A good portion of Wednesday's interview with James Biden is expected to focus on the Republicans' allegations that a series of loans between the brothers were part of a tangled web of payments that ultimately constituted a bribery scheme.
Fox's Kevin Corke, a former FBI informant indicted for lying about Biden business transactions. Alexander Smirnov is now accused of having ties to Russian intelligence. An 11-year-old Texas girl missing since last week, found dead in a river. A family friend who lived near her will soon be charged.
We believe the appropriate arrest warrant is going to be for capital murder in the death of Audrey Cunningham.
Polk County DA Shelley Sitton. 2 men are charged with murder in Kansas City, blamed for the shooting at last week's Chiefs Super Bowl victory parade that left 1 person dead, 22 injured. America's listening to Fox.
46 degrees, 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Chicago dollar stores could face some new restrictions as the Chicago City Council considers an ordinance that would limit where new locations can open. The proposal comes as the chain faces increasing pressures to clean up their act after being accused of violating several health and building codes. In response, one of those dollar chains, Dollar Tree, has spent $1.5 million, they say, upgrading and repairing stores. Last week, early voting was halted in Cook County after an appeals judge ruled the name of a Democrat candidate in a judge's race should be taken off the ballot. Voters in suburban Cook County can now head back to 6 locations to resume early voting at 9 a.m. today. Chicago police took 2 into custody for questioning in the shooting that killed a Senn High School student and injured 2 others. The shooting happened on January 31st in the Edgewater neighborhood, just a few blocks from school. Davion Gibson was killed. City of Chicago suing multiple oil and gas companies and the American Petroleum Institute over unproved claims of climate deception. Alleged offenses listed include violations of municipal code and consumer fraud. Governor J.B. Pritzker will announce his proposed budget today, but some are urging for drastic changes in how the state handles migrants. Illinois Senate Republicans forecast there could be $1 billion deficit heading into the new fiscal year. Driving that deficit, according to Senate Minority Leader John Curran, is the taxpayer cost of providing non-citizens with subsidized services.
This governor has spent 6 years creating a non-citizen welfare state. He is spending your taxpayer dollars, the taxpayer dollars of Illinois citizens, working families, to create that non-citizen welfare state. We have opposed that at every step, and we will continue to.
Pritzker delivers his address at noon. The family of a local hospital's CEO is suing the University of Chicago health system for negligence.
The way it was explained, into the hospital on a Monday, recoup on Tuesday, home Wednesday, back at work in 2 weeks.
The lawsuit comes 4 months after 69-year-old Ruth Colby died after a common valve procedure and 3 weeks later died in the ICU. She was the CEO of Silver Cross Hospital in New Lenox. Blackhawks and Flyers tonight. Number 12 Fighting Illini in Big Ten hoops go on the road at Penn State. The news, a service of Chicago Gaelic Park House Raffle. Enter to win a brand new home or $450,000 cash prize, $100 per ticket. Drawing held March 24th. Visit ChicagoGaelicParkHouseRaffle.com. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher doesn't see an end.
22 Republicans joined Democrats in sending billions more to Ukraine. That's right, 22 Republican senators evidently want to embark on what I think is a fool's errand, and that is the idea that there's any end game in sight for Russia and Ukraine. Because you know what? There's not. There is simply not.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Listen up. Do you or a family member or friend have an outstanding student loan and don't know where to turn or how much you're required to pay? The rules around student loan forgiveness have never been as complex as they are right now. The wrong decision could cost you and your family tens of thousands of dollars in unnecessary loan payments. Attorney Ray Kaplan at Kaplan Law Firm is here to help you make the right decision. And they recently saved a radio listener over $145,000. Kaplan Law knows the rules, knows the laws, knows the regulations, and loopholes inside out. Don't pay another cent until you've consulted with attorney Ray Kaplan. Call today to schedule a phone or in-person consultation. Call Kaplan Law Firm at 312-294-8989. That's 312-294-8989. Or visit financialrelief.com and click on Contact. Financialrelief.com, click on Contact. Kaplan Law Firm, 25 East Washington Street in Chicago.
Don't let everyday aches and pains keep you from living your best life.
I don't think I really understood what people meant when they talked about pain until I started feeling it myself.
Start feeling better every day with Relief Factor, a daily supplement designed to support your body's fight against aches and pains.
Not only do I move better without pain, I just feel better.
Created by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that target 4 metabolic pathways to address pain. Relief Factor doesn't just mask aches and pains, it helps reduce or even eliminate them.
Today, I do the things I love, and it doesn't occur to me to think about pain.
You can feel the difference all day, every day.
Join the over 1 million people who have tried Relief Factor's 3-week Quick Start Kit. It's only $19.95 and comes with our Feel Better or Your Money Back guarantee. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I've been a clinical psychologist since 1991. I was licensed, and I love being a clinical psychologist because I like helping people. I tell people that Balance of Nature is a wonderful supplement because I truly trust in the product. I feel great, and because I feel great, I'm able to do everything that I want to do. I really love taking Balance of Nature.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order, plus $10 off any additional sets with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
7:08. Let's get an update on the roads in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. And this update, a service of Turnkey.pro. Their team of veteran consultants know how to reduce cost and grow new revenue streams, all without having to hire on-site professionals. Turnkey has solutions for your business. Visit Turnkey.pro, Turnkey.pro. Kennedy settling in at about 34 in from O'Hare to the Burns Circle interchange. Traveling on the Ike, 47 minutes in from 390 into the old post office. 50 minutes in on the Stevenson from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Lakeshore Drive itself northbound jamming up right at Bryn Mawr. Tri-State jamming up northbound right at I-88. The Reagan itself jamming up right at the southbound Tri-State. I-65, an accident now moved to the left shoulder. That's northbound 65 between US 30 and 61st. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Today, some sunshine, a warmer day, the high 62, partly cloudy, passing shower late tonight, low 42. A stray shower tomorrow morning, otherwise cloudy, high 55. Sunny to partly cloudy Friday, the high only 39. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
We're at 46 at O'Hare. Your next news update, 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Hey, remember that IRS investigation into Hunter Biden and Biden Incorporated?
Oh, yeah. How's that going? It's
Do we
been
have
such
the-
a long time. Are there any updates, Dan?
Yeah, do we have the attention span for it? I mean, after all that has transpired in Manhattan and in Atlanta, and of course the Robert Hur report on Biden's handling of or mishandling of classified information, where he's not fit to stand trial, but he's fit to run the country. That was the sort of the top line. Well, yeah, Cheryl Atkinson, investigative journalist, her program online, Full Measure, it's a good one. She is helping us prevent that investigation and those whistleblowers, so important to the investigation and our understanding of it, from being memory holed, which, of course, is the D.C. press corps' preference. You remember the IRS whistleblowers, Joe Ziegler, gay American and Democrat.
That's right.
Remember?
Oh, yeah, I remember. He
testified to that.
Yep.
Yeah. And Gary Shapley, who was the first to come forward. So the whole point of you're persecuting baby boy Hunter. He had some problems back in the day with sawdust, apparently. Some snorting sawdust. He had a sawdust addiction. We'll get to that. Yeah. But anyway, this was always about the whole picture, the whole enterprise, the whole, if Fani Willis was giving perspective, one could potentially see a RICO crime syndicate here. But no. It was always about the hillbilly crime family from Wilmington and its patriarch, Joe Biden. So going back to what these IRS investigators discovered and also what they believed to be true, Atkinson asks, this is her question to Joe Ziegler, the case agent on it.
Actually, in both political parties, say things such as there's no evidence tying Joe Biden to Hunter Biden's businesses or any improper activities. When you hear that, what do you think?
I think it's blatantly false. I would wholeheartedly disagree with it.
Mm-hmm. And first Ziegler you're going to hear, then Atkinson, then Shapley on the DOJ blocking their investigation. They believed there were ties. You just heard Ziegler say it. And that's when the justice system had to intercede to make sure these guys didn't pursue justice too far.
We were never allowed to follow those leads that could lead to potential evidence that could move the ball down the hill.
By May of 2020, Biden was steeped in his presidential run against Trump, while Trump's own Justice Department was allegedly throwing up roadblocks to the IRS investigation into the Bidens.
No one in IRS leadership disagreed that there were discrepancies, but they just completely avoided their duties to act autonomously for the IRS, and they just allowed the Department of Justice to do really whatever they wanted, and that really exacerbated this entire issue.
Mm-hmm. And then just again, sort of reconstituting the timeline in your mind, because it's been so long since, frankly, we've even talked about it, and it shouldn't be memory hold. These, and especially when you have whistleblowers coming forward and putting themselves on the line to offer the details that you would never otherwise get. We would never otherwise know if these guys just decided to button their lips and not say anything. The charges recommended, the rest of the timeline, 22 into 23.
We ended up recommending the felony and misdemeanor tax charges in February of 2022. February of 2022, it now goes from IRS to DOJ as a recommended prosecution.
But they say they fought more obstruction. The Department of Justice would only allow charges if federal prosecutors located in Washington, D.C. and California, where the alleged crimes occurred, agreed to go along.
So I came to find out that the D.C. U.S. Attorney's Office not only said no to partnering or no to bringing or helping us in bringing the charges, but they had also said that we don't think you have a case to bring it here in D.C. California had also said no to bringing charges in their district. So now we have D.C. saying no, California saying no.
It's relatively unusual to be told no once you bring a case and write a report for charges.
Correct. So we find out that California says no, and then May 15th, 2023 happens, and both Gary and I are removed from the investigation.
Who told you guys you were off the case?
The special agent in charge of the Washington, D.C. field office told us.
Willful blindness, and those who won't be dutifully, willfully blind have to be removed. And then, of course, we know the rest of this, too. I mean, there's nothing new here, but it's important to refresh recollections. As I said, the David Weiss, special prosecutor, tries to, U.S. Attorney for Delaware tries to strike this unholy plea bargain that is rejected. And now we're still in the proceedings of prosecuting Hunter with Jamie Raskin and the rest of the professional purveyors of propaganda on the Hill, continuing their picking on a young man, not young, with some substance abuse problems that this has nothing to do and never involved Joe Biden, despite all the testimony from Hunter Biden business partners, former Hunter Biden business partners like Archer and Bobulinski, that Joe Biden was very much aware and very much involved and very much benefiting. Okay. Kevin Brock is former assistant director of intel for the FBI, former principal deputy director of the National Counterterrorism Center as well. Kevin, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, good morning, Dan, Amy. How are you?
Good. So, I mean, if you were the director of the FBI, if you were Christopher Wray, or if you were the director of the IRS, which has essentially similar investigative powers within their space, what would you do after listening to those whistleblowers and watching everything that has come to pass over the last few years?
Well, my first day in office.
In this case. Yeah, just in the Biden case. Yeah.
Yeah. My first day as director, I would get all the information that's available regarding the case and fulfill a promise that I would have made during my confirmation hearing to make it all transparent, because this has to stop. I'm going to let you in on a little secret here, a little inside baseball. The Justice Department is treating Democrats and liberals differently than they treat Republicans and conservatives. Am I breaking any news there?
No, that's sort of been observably true, although, of course, you're shamed for saying it. Maybe with your pedigree, there'll be less of an ability to do that. But yes, no, I appreciate it.
No, it's abundantly clear right now. And, the other secret is that to pursue a case against Joe Biden and his family is readily available. The predication for such a case exists. You don't need an Alexander Smirnoff making wild accusations of a $5 million payoff to make this case. You don't even need whistleblowers to make this case. Just what we know in the public domain is enough for a man off the street to bring a case to a grand jury and probably get an indictment for at least influence peddling. If there was any kind of a aggressive investigation into the money structuring that Congress has unveiled or been able to discern through their subpoenas, there should be a case for money laundering that could be brought. You don't have grandchildren funding their grandfather through myriad bank accounts spread out all over the place. So prima facie, there's a strong case there. If 10% of the energy that's gone into prosecuting Donald Trump in New York and Atlanta were applied to this case, we'd have had an indictment already.
Since you mentioned Alexander Smirnov, this FBI informant that made the allegation that the big guy, that would be Joe Biden, and Hunter were bribed by the oligarch in control of Burisma. He's been indicted for perjury. The argument is that he made that up. And so now you have Democrats running to CNN and MSNBC to say, House Republicans are colluding with the Russians. They've stood up this phony informant with phony allegations, and it's more evidence that Trump is a Manchurian candidate, and so on and so forth. Well, wait a second. If he did perjure himself, I don't know. But if he did, he was the FBI's asset for the last decade.
Yeah.
So how is that House Republicans or Donald Trump?
The House Republicans, frankly, and you may not agree with me on this, but they have nobody to blame but themselves for this debacle.
Okay.
They're the ones that insisted on getting the raw reporting of Smirnov alleging $5 million payments to the Bidens before that information had been vetted. Let me put it this way. They wanted the initial report. We don't know how much it had been vetted after that because the information was provided in 2020. And they wanted that information so they could type it and run with it and point fingers and say, look, there's fire behind the smoke and everything else. This was raw reporting. This, in the FBI, is taking information without checking it out. Subsequently, I would believe that the Bureau probably did their due diligence and vetting to find out whether there was anything behind these allegations. On their face, they seem spectacular, so that they should have received it with some doubt.
But wait a second. Can I just stop you there? Because as you say, this was the 1023 that was released is from the form is from 2020. So an allegation that explosive, as you say, why wasn't that vetted, in real time? And then some sort of notation made or some sort of follow-up report to say this is credible or this isn't credible. Why would you have to wait 4 years till House Republicans unearth it before you would have the FBI vet the credibility of it?
We don't know whether that was done, and if it was done, that wasn't requested by Congress. They just wanted the raw reporting. They didn't want any follow-up documentation on whether the information was credible or not. They just wanted the raw reporting. And
do you think the FBI set House Republicans up on this? Because if say I want this 1023 from this FBI confidential informant, and you say, okay, well, here it is, but I know there's additional reporting saying this is not a credible. We've determined this isn't a credible allegation. I'm just going to hold that back to see if Republicans trip over themselves, like you say.
I would be surprised at that. Here's how I would characterize it. And in fairness to Christopher Wray, and I've criticized him on other issues, but on this issue, he said, you really don't want this report. I'm not going to release it as raw reporting. If it's false, it's damaging to the reputations of the people that are being accused. That's the way the FBI rolls with all source reporting. That's why it's never disclosed, because 50% of the time it's not accurate. That's the nature of dealing with confidential sources. Sometimes they're spectacularly accurate. Sometimes they're full of BS with a capital B and a capital S.
Right.
Well, then how is Smirnov colluding with the Russians?
The accusations there is that they've documented some contacts between Smirnov and Russian operatives over the years, and his name is Smirnov. There's no doubt that that's probably the case. That's probably what made him interesting and valuable on other issues inside the FBI or the advancement of other cases. But just to get back to Dan's question, I don't know if it's a setup, but they reluctantly let the Republicans look at the document. I don't think they ever did turn it over completely. And I think they would probably expressed all the caveats. Look, this is unvetted information, and whether or not they told them at the time, we have other information that knocks this down. I don't know. But there was an eagerness, certainly, on the Republican side to take that information and run with it.
Well, if what you're saying turns to check out, then yeah, you're right. I'm happy to criticize Republicans for being slipshod and you know
they wanted this so
less than judicious in terms of the pace of these things. But the point is not wanting it. The point is it still goes back to though this other matter, especially since this has been a bit of a pattern with unreliable confidential informants, and I suppose that to some extent that's just comes with the business of
the territory,
flipping people. But I mean, but for an extended period of time. I mean, at some point, if you have a confidential informant that you don't believe is credible, then why are you keeping them around, number one? And then number two, now put this in the context of the other CIs that were hanging around for a long time, which, of course, the Democrats did the same thing on, and maybe for even more nefarious reasons. I'm thinking about Christopher Steele. I'm thinking about Danchenko. I'm thinking about Halper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, the only thing I can say is that one of the hardest roles for an FBI agent is developing and managing sources, because of the dynamic of the fact that sometimes they provide excellent information that makes cases and evidence that puts people in jail, while at the same time, very same sources giving you rabbit holes and disinformation and lies that you have to manage and have to navigate. So sometimes, yes, it gets to a point where you jettison a source and say this isn't worth this juice isn't worth the squeeze, but other times you just have to manage it.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. I mean, something else though too. I wanted to get your reaction to, of course, the reporting from Michael Schellenberger and Matt Taibbi last week that, and this necessarily implicates the FBI, and in addition to perhaps more mainly John Brennan at CIA. That the Russian collusion investigation was not something that was happened upon because George Papadopoulos made an offhanded comment to Stephen Halper and an Australian diplomat and talked to Stephen Halper and then this thing. No, it was orchestrated from the outset. It was John Brennan and ostensibly others that initiated this right from the beginning and pressed it for as long as they could into Trump's presidency.
I read that. I would love to see their sourcing on that. I'm not discounting it, but I've also heard other explanations similar to that really in the end didn't hold water. There's no doubt that Brennan and Clapper and others were vehemently anti-Trump and lining up efforts to disrupt his campaign at that time, which the Comey FBI willingly participated in. I have no doubt about that, but I don't know, and I'm not sure I can comment accurately on the depth of those accusations by Taibbi.
When we, talk to you, we always like to do a stop, look, and listen with respect to your former employer, the FBI. So, where do things stand with Christopher Wray and the FBI in your mind now? With on all the various issues, including, frankly, border security, since Christopher Wray was able to muster the words that lawlessness at the border is a national security issue.
Yeah, not saying enough. And I was one of the signers of that letter that we sent to Congress. I think you had Jody on last week to talk about that, Jody Weiss. And we have grave concerns about the surge of single military-age males from hostile regions and countries coming into this country. Not enough is being said about that by the FBI, by the DHS, and even Congress, frankly. This is a huge, gaping threat to the nation right now, a clear and present danger, and we're not paying enough attention. And if the FBI director, whoever that is, needs to step up and make noise about it. More noise than being made right now.
Kevin Brock, former Assistant Director of Intel for the FBI, former Principal Deputy Director of the National Counterterrorism Center as well. Kevin, thank you as always. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Amy Jacobson here for Willows Academy. You've heard us talk about Willows Academy in Des Plaines on the air before, but there's nothing better than hearing from a current parent about their experience.
As a dad with two daughters at Willows Academy, we've been really impressed with their commitment to traditional values. The last thing I want to do, or my wife wants to do, is worry about our school teaching our kids things that go against what we believe in. This is harder and harder to find in schools today, and Willows is also a competitive school with strong academics. We know our daughters will be ready for college and life after they graduate.
Willows Academy is now enrolling for fall 2024 in grades 6 through 12. You're invited to the Spring Open House on Sunday, March 3rd at 1 p.m. Register online at willowsacademy.org. That's willowsacademy.org.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I've been a clinical psychologist since 1991. I was licensed, and I love being a clinical psychologist because I like helping people. I tell people that Balance of Nature is a wonderful supplement because I truly trust in the product. I feel great, and because I feel great, I'm able to do everything that I want to do. I really love taking Balance of Nature.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order, plus $10 off any additional sets with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll get Steve Moore's reaction to what Federal Express founder and CEO Fred Smith had to say about the state of the American economy. That's at 7:37.
Now let's head into that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
7:32, Dan and Amy, and the Biden administration announcing over $1 billion more of student loan debt forgiveness. Borrowers in the SAVE program who've made at least 10 years of payments will get an email from the president. About 153,000 borrowers. The Biden administration has now approved so-called loan relief for nearly 3.9 million Americans. Nearly all of coastal California this morning is again under a flood watch. Comes a day after a huge storm dumped massive amounts of rain across central and Southern California. The U.S. Supreme Court will not get involved in the admissions at a Virginia school. Sarah Bartlett has more on that decision.
The Supreme Court declined to hear a case related to the role of race in school admissions at the Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology in Alexandria. The nation's highest court refused to review whether a new admissions policy discriminates against Asian Americans. This comes months after the court ruled against affirmative action when it comes to college admissions. The school is one of the country's top-ranked high schools and does not consider standardized test scores to encourage diversity. Justices Samuel Alito and Clarence Thomas publicly dissented. I'm Sarah Bartlett.
Former President Donald Trump continues to make comparisons between the death of Alexei Navalny and his own legal troubles, and did so last night at a Fox News town hall in South Carolina.
It is a form of Navalny. It is a form of communism or fascism.
However, he refused to answer whether he sees himself as a, quote, political prisoner, end quote. The Florida Senate is expected to take up a social media ban for kids today, prohibiting anyone under the age of 16 from creating an account and requiring platforms to delete existing profiles run by minors. Chicago dollar stores could face some restrictions as the city council will consider an ordinance limiting where new locations can open. Last week, early voting was halted in an appeals court ruling, taking the name of a Democrat candidate for judge off the ballot. Voters in suburban Cook County can now head back to 6 locations to resume early voting today at 9 a.m. Chicago police say they took 2 people in for questioning related to the shooting that killed a Senn High School student and injured 2 others. The shooting happened January 31st in the Edgewater neighborhood, just a few blocks from that school. Davion Gibson was killed. The Blackhawks take on the Flyers tonight. Last night in college basketball, NIU lost to Ball State. Tonight, DePaul visits number 8 Marquette. Bradley is at Missouri State. Valpo and Indiana State and the number 12 Fighting Illini visit Penn State, and they'll take an early tip today at about 6:30. The news, a service of the AM 560 store, T-shirts, hoodies, and more from your favorite AM 560 brands, including Proft University. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka sees our priorities in the wrong place.
The idea that you're sending $100 billion to other countries without doing anything to stop the invasion of America right now, to stop what this administration is doing as we are speaking to American lives.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Sick and tired of achy joints? Dread the idea of surgery? Well, you need to call QC Kinetics. Hi, it's Amy Jacobson. Listen, the state of healthcare is always changing. The old ideas like steroids, cortisone shots, surgery are no longer your only options. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics is transforming lives with innovative, non-surgical, drug-free treatments that deliver lasting results. Knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain from arthritis or injury? Well, don't let this pain keep you from living your best. QC Kinetics advanced state-of-the-art treatments harness and direct your body's natural ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. Make 2024 the year you reclaim your mobility and independence. Walk and run, play and live. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation. New locations, folks, in Crystal Lake and Gurnee. Call 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Imagine what your future looks like. Is the picture a little blurry? Hey, it's Sean Thompson here for Alpha Wealth Group. When we look ahead, we're visualizing where we want to be, and for retirement, that can be hard without a written financial plan. Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth Group can help you bring your retirement picture into focus. For decades, Tom has been crafting customized financial strategies. His goal is to help you protect your savings, grow your wealth, and create an income strategy you cannot outlive. If you're nearing or already in retirement, it's time to get your plan on paper. So bring your readers and let's take a look at it closely. Call Tom at 630-934-1855 and schedule a complimentary retirement consultation. There is no cost, there is no obligation. This is a chance to get a clearer view of your retirement. The number again is 630-934-1855 or visit alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings right here on AM 560 The Answer.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
7:38, let's get an update on the roads in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. This update is service of Fox Valley Coins. Bring your gold or silver in store today. Each item is priced right in front of you. The coins never leave your sight. Receive a cash or check right on the spot. FoxValleyCoins.com. Tri-State Tollway solid northbound between 75th and 47th, where there is an accident in a left-hand lane, and there's gapers as you travel on the southbound side right at 47th to that northbound crash. DuSable Lakeshore Drive jams up southbound between Monroe and Balbo. The Dan Ryan right now, 36 from 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Some sunshine later in the day, near record warmth with a high of 62. 46 in clouds right now. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Our friend Brett Baer had FedEx CEO Fred Smith on his program the other day. Fred Smith famously said, to succeed in business, the main thing is to make the main thing the main thing. It's worked.
You can't be put, in very simplistic ways, yes.
Yeah, well, focusing on the main thing made him a billionaire, so you should probably listen to Fred Smith's advice. Fred Smith giving his perspective on the American economy. Take a listen. I mean, a guy who ships billions of packages around the world and the logistics and everything associated with a global company like FedEx. He may have some insights in terms of what's really happening on the ground.
Well, the growth that we continue to report, the GDP in the fourth quarter, was not because of invention and innovation, the things that have made the country great, along with trade and the strength of our dollar. It's been because we've borrowed from our grandchildren, and we're spending money today primarily to employ more people in government, healthcare, services, and other pursuits that are not being really driven by the fundamental engines of growth, which is national productivity and invention and innovation. Everybody hopes that artificial intelligence will be the new thing that will create a lot of wealth. But to date, over the last couple of years, we've simply been borrowing from our grandchildren and living beyond our means.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, borrowing against tomorrow to pay for yesterday. That doesn't sound like a formula for robust growth and economic opportunity. Let's see if our next guest agrees with one Fred Smith. Steve Moore, economist, GovZilla author, Committee to Unleash Prosperity. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, guys.
So what say you? Is Fred Smith over the target?
No, he's spot on. By the way, Fred Smith is one of the guys I admire most in America. He's an incredible entrepreneur, one of the great entrepreneurs of all time. And he has his finger on the economy, and he's exactly right about what's happening with what we're doing to our economy. $2 trillion of debt each year is going to destroy our country.
Mm-hmm. So, that being said, I am a regular reader of your Unleash Prosperity newsletter, and I see an admonition in your latest edition in the direction of House Republicans: don't fall prey to a quote-unquote budget or government shutdown. Right. So on the one hand, Fred Smith is right, but on the other hand, just muddle along doing the things that we've been doing these many years.
Well, there's a new development, by the way, and you'll see that in the hotline this morning, which hasn't quite gone out yet. But what the latest is that what we were recommending is to just take the 1% across the board cut, what's called a continuing resolution, just fund everything at last year's level at 1% less. Now, I think we should be cutting agencies by 10, 20, 25%. But given the fact that Republicans have a 2-seat majority in the House, and they don't control the Senate, and they don't control the White House, they really can't have a lot of control over this process. But here's what's interesting. So the Republicans, that's become their position. Okay, we'll just take the 1% across the board cut. Guess what? The Democrats say, no way. We can't live with a 1% cut in government spending at a time that they're borrowing $1.5 trillion a year. So I think they've flipped the tables. Part of this is just being smart politically. I don't think Republicans can win a government shutdown battle. I've lived through 11 of them in my 30 years in Washington, and every single year that happens, the blame is always put on the Republicans. So I think it's much smarter to say to Democrats, okay, we'll go for the 1%, tiny little cut in spending, and then let the Democrats go to the American people and say why they'd rather shut down the government and take this teeny-weeny little cut in spending.
Right. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but of course, this, surrender today so you can surrender tomorrow. That's been the Republican playbook for a long time.
What would you? Okay, Dan. What would you have them do?
Well, I mean, I agree with you. I'm not Pollyannish about the realpolitik here and the slim majority in the House and the number of big spending Republicans. So I would lay out the case, though, almost. I mean, I would really do it in a naked fashion, in terms of the rhetoric, not in terms of my presentation. The idea is this: look, this is what we should do, and I would even go so far, if I was Mike Johnson, to say, look, I've got some people in my caucus that just don't want to rein in runaway spending. I'm not going to name names, but I do. And I don't have the votes to do what we should be doing. So this is the same advice I had for Kevin McCarthy back in the day that he didn't take, which is get together with your nucleus and deliver this. Like, you have to send more actual conservatives. Everybody runs around saying they're fiscal conservative, and the people who say that's a great tell to know that they're not. You have got to make sure that you send us more people who really want to shrink the size and scope and expense of government, because we just don't have the personnel right now. At least that would be honest. I'd do it if I had the personnel. I don't have the personnel. You send me the personnel in November, and I'll do it.
Here's the problem with that. You are under some kind of grand illusion, Dan, that Republicans want to cut government spending.
Well, I'm not. But that's what I'm just saying. Well, that's what I'm just saying. But I think Mike Johnson. I think Mike Johnson and some Republicans do.
Yeah, some do, but they don't have nearly a majority, or even a majority within the Republican caucus of people want to cut spending. And by the way, I love Donald Trump. I'm working for him.
He doesn't want to either.
For the campaign. He doesn't want to cut spending either. So. Here, and look, my point is this, that we have a really crucial election coming up about the future of our country in November. And I'm obviously a Trump guy. I don't agree with Trump on everything, but I think he will maintain lower taxes. He'll do the drilling. He'll get control of the border. He'll get control of crime. He will get rid of these incredibly obtrusive government regulations. He'll do a lot to rebuild this economy. Is he going to massively cut spending? No, he's not. But my point is that the future of our country really depends on what happens in this election. And I don't want to get sidetracked in a big debate about who shut down the government and blah, blah, blah. I want to have a debate about these issues, about the border, about what we should do with our tax code, about what we should do with our debt. What should we do with, the situation with our energy policy. All these things are critically important to the country right now. Mm-hmm. And I'm worried that Republicans will just get blamed for another shutdown, and then we get 4 more years of Kamala Harris or Joe Biden.
Yeah, that would be disastrous. So have you spoken with President Trump after he was handed down, being found liable for $360 million for allegedly defrauding banks and insurers?
Yeah. I did get together with him at Mar-a-Lago at the Super Bowl party that he had, and chatted with him. But I have not talked to him since this absurd decision comes down. But I've got to tell you, I've been doing a lot of interviews and things on this, and people are just so outraged by this decision. It is so unfair. We have a 2-tier justice system in America today, and it's frightening, actually. No one can possibly justify this decision. No one was defrauded. Nobody lost money here. In fact, the people who bought his properties made money. And here is Donald Trump. And again, love him or hate him, I know people listening to the show have very different opinions on him. But the guy helped build New York. He was the one who built these incredible buildings in decrepit areas. He's the one who, when the government couldn't get the damn skating rink built, he stepped in and built it in 6 months. My point is, when you have people who are major developers and builders who come in and make a city prosperous, as he and many, many others did, and then to basically say, you can't do business in our city anymore, and by the way, we're going to steal $300 million from you, and this is theft. This is the government stealing Donald Trump's money. And you saw what Kevin O'Leary said, the major investor. He said, I would never do business in New York anymore after this. Who would want to build something in New York when the government could steal your money?
But during the appeal process, mostly it's Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump. They can still conduct business, right?
I don't know the particulars of what they can and can't do, but I want to state this again, and I know it's an obvious point, but nobody lost money here. Now, did Donald Trump exaggerate the appraisal of some of these properties? Maybe he did. The Wall Street Journal says, he maybe stretched things. That's what,
But everybody does that.
Defending that.
I mean, when you sell your house and your house is worth $700, you're going to put it on the market for $750.
Exactly.
Because there might be some sucker out there who'll take it. I mean, who knows?
Exactly. And by the way, Amy, that's a great point you're making also. Let's say I want to sell my house to you. Yes. And I say, this is a $750,000 house. And you say, okay, I'm just going to take your word for it. I'm not going to do an appraisal of what the property is worth.
Right,
I mean, who does that?
So sad, too bad.
So yesterday's little Fox News town hall that Trump had in South Carolina with Laura Ingraham presiding, the question came up, as you might expect, a question that does not come up when Nikki Haley does a town hall, which is, who do you think will be your running mate? She ran through a list of the usual suspects, at least that have been mentioned, on the short list, and Trump sort of gave a general acknowledgement that they're all fine people. Do you have any perspective on his selection, the importance of it, who you think would be the best fit for him, regardless of where he might be at the moment?
Well, before I answer that question, because we're doing a poll of major conservative voices, and I have two of them on the phone right now. So I would like to get your answer to that question, and then I'll answer it. So, Amy, ladies first, if you were Donald Trump, who would you take as your VP nominee?
Well, I had my heart set on Nikki Haley, but clearly that ship has sailed.
Yeah, I don't think that ain't happening. But actually, if you think she's the right one, yeah, she can be your choice.
I do. I mean, I think she would help with, undecided suburban women voters.
Okay. All right. I'm going to put you down with Nikki Haley, and there are many others who took that. Okay, Dan.
Javier Milei. Is he available?
Dan Proft.
I love it. But wait a minute. He's not an American citizen, is he?
No.
It doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, right.
He can come here legally or illegally.
Yeah.
We'll let him vote.
We'll smuggle him in.
Who is someone, Dan? Who, by the way, this guy, so people know, he's the president of Argentina, and he took over, and they had a debt that was like double their GDP, and he balanced the budget in 1 month.
Yeah,
and he takes he doesn't take Air Force, their equivalent of Air Force One. He flies with the people when he goes.
Yeah, and he's because he's
all right,
cutting,
but Dan, I want a
agencies.
serious answer from you. Who's eligible that you would take if you were Trump?
Tim Scott.
Tim Scott. Okay. Now my choice would be, I really like Kim Reynolds, the governor of Iowa. I think she's awesome. I also think taking someone who's really steady and smart, and not necessarily has a lot of pizzazz. But I really like the I'm blanking on his name, the Secretary of State for Biden. I mean for Trump.
Pompeo.
Pompeo, because the guy's so super wicked smart. He's a total professional, and I just would relish the day to see Mike Pompeo debate Kamala Harris. But,
that would. I mean, anybody who debates her, please come on.
Yeah.
Like a turkey shoot, Stephen Moore.
So
by the way, guys, I have to tell you,
Pompeo,
I gave
really?
a speech on Saturday night in Barrington, Illinois, to their Reagan dinner, and there were about 150 to 200 people there. They all listened to the Dan and Amy show. But I've got to tell you, Amy, I don't know, the Republicans have like Stockholm syndrome or something in Illinois. They feel like there's nothing they can do against this. I didn't even realize the Democrats in the legislature in Springfield, they have a veto-proof majority.
Yes, a very comfortable supermajority. They have had for a long time because there is no opposition party. There's just a handful of sensible people milling about it at Reagan and Lincoln Day dinners in places like Barrington, but that's it. There's no signs of life here.
My only point is, that these were wonderful people and I had a great time. And,
yes,
but,
exactly.
It's just, they all are so forlorn that there's nothing we can do. We're up against this wall of Democrats. And when I grew up in Illinois was a purple state. Now it is one of the bluest states in the country.
We did vote for Reagan, though, back in the 80s.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. That's right.
It was a good year.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah.
It's been a minute. Yeah, well, a lot of self-inflicted wounds there. We'll have to do a battle plan for the resurgence of a Republican Party in Illinois some other time, because that's a
Do you think, Dan, that Trump could win Illinois?
No. Not there. Yeah.
Not a chance in
H-E-double-L
hockey.
He'd have a better. Yeah, I'm not even gonna get into it. All right, Steve Moore, economist, and of course Govzilla author, comedian Unleash Prosperity as well. Sign up for his Unleash Prosperity Hotline newsletter if you haven't already. Steve, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
All right, you guys are very popular in Barrington.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We appreciate you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Albert Mohler for townhall.com. No man, no problem. That's the way Joe Stalin put it. Totalitarian regimes and dictators know how to deal with problems. They disappear. And when it comes to human beings, that often means they disappear by murder. In this case, of course, we're talking about Alexei Navalny, who died Friday in a Russian penal colony in or near Siberia. He died just a day after appearing to be extremely healthy in a video appearance related to his legal situation. Navalny was part of a generation that was horribly offended by the corruption that is reflected in the Russian government. He named things for what they were. He exposed them, and he sought to organize opposition. He believed that the formation of opposition parties could eventually lead to the overthrow of Russia's corrupt regime. But predictably, given the history of Russia following a very familiar pattern, the regime struck back. Will this over time strengthen or weaken the Russian regime? Well, we'll be watching that closely. I'm Albert Mohler.
Saw a man at yoga, and he had 2 long scars down the top of his kneecap, 2 knee replacements, and I asked him, "Are you feeling better?" He said, "No, I still have, joint pain, and I don't know if it was worth it." So before you go under the knife, we want you to consider QC Kinetics. It's regenerative medicine that's transforming lives with innovative, non-surgical, drug-free treatments that deliver lasting results. If you have knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain, hip pain from arthritis or an injury, don't let this pain keep you from living your best. QC Kinetics' advanced, state-of-the-art treatments harness and direct your own body's natural ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. This is a revolutionary approach that can get you long-term relief with no downtime. So make this year a year for yourself. Be able to walk and run, play and live without the danger and trauma of surgery and without harmful, addictive drugs. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation. That's right. Just call them and set up an appointment. They'll walk you through the whole process. They're very friendly, and they have new locations in Crystal Lake and Gurnee. The number to call, write it down, 312-809-5955, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955.
Hey, business owners, are you wondering how to grow your business? Do you need cash flow and a ready source for financing? Well, Signature Bank can help. Hi, Mike Gallagher here to let you know that Signature Bank's loan decisions are made locally by a team who knows your name, cares about your business, and is invested in your success. When you need advice about your business or even have a question, Signature Bank is there to help. There are no handoffs or call centers. This is a team that wants to get to know you and your business. That's why Signature Bank in Chicago is my bank. That's right. I'm a customer. When I call, someone picks up the phone on the other end. And with Signature Bank, I can securely bank anywhere, anytime. Reach out to my friends at Signature Bank. Call 773-467-5630. That's 773-467-5630. Or visit them online at signaturebank.bank. Signaturebank.bank. Your business could be Signature Bank's next success story. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We're going to talk to the author of Disillusioned, 5 Families in the Unraveling of America's Suburbs. He has an interesting theory about suburban living being a Ponzi scheme that essentially victimizes minorities who move from urban centers to the suburbs. I don't agree with it, and that's why it should be an interesting conversation. Benjamin Harold at 8:08.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Residents displaced after a north side apartment fire, and the Blackhawks host the Flyers tonight. WIND Chicago News Time, 8 o'clock.
She doesn't know how to get out of the race. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what former President Trump is saying about Nikki Haley vowing to keep running ahead of Saturday's Republican primary in South Carolina.
She's not working. She's here. She's down by 30, 35 points. And everybody knows her. You're not supposed to lose your home state.
Now, in a town hall on Fox in South Carolina, the former president again claimed he's a political target in his indictments, likening himself to Alexei Navalny, the Russian opposition leader who died in prison Friday.
Navalny is a very sad situation, and he's very brave. He was a very brave guy because he went back. He could have stayed away. And frankly, probably would have been a lot better off staying away and talking from outside of the country.
The former president also took aim at the fraud ruling against him in New York.
Letitia James is horrible attorney general in New York, campaigned on I will get Trump, I will get Trump. We went through a trial. It turned out we're totally innocent on everything.
Well, the judge fined the former president $355 million. And Attorney General James says if he doesn't pay, she'll try to seize Trump assets. Next hour, President Biden's brother James will face questions in private as House Republicans investigate the family's overseas business dealings. Democrats call it a sham investigation, and Hunter Biden's lawyers say that and the tax case against him have been damaged by an FBI informant's indictment charging Alexander Smirnov with lying about Biden transactions.
Smirnov is now also accused of having extensive ties to Russian intelligence. Hunter's attorneys saying, quote, it is more remarkable that beginning in July 2023, the special counsel's team would follow Mr. Smirnov down his rabbit hole of lies as long as it did.
Fox's Brooks Singman. President Biden's expected to sign an executive order today aimed at better securing American ports from cyber attacks after the recent FBI warning China's targeting U.S. infrastructure. The Biden administration's also wiping out more than $1 billion more in student loan debt, helping over 150,000 borrowers in a targeted approach after the Supreme Court blocked the president's bigger student loan forgiveness plan. America's listening to Fox News.
8:02 on AM 560. The Answer and good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Chicago dollar stores could face some new restrictions as the city council considers an ordinance which would limit where new locations can open. Last week, early voting was halted after an appeals court ruled the name of a Democrat candidate for a judge's race should be taken off the ballot. Voters in suburban Cook County can now head back to 6 locations to resume early voting at 9 a.m. today. Chicago police have taken 2 people into questioning for the shooting that killed a Senn High School student and injured 2 others. The shooting happened January 31st in the Edgewater neighborhood. Davion Gibson was killed. Cause of a fire at a building on the north side is under investigation. Fire broke out at the apartment near West Wellington and North Broadway in Lakeview. Chicago Fire reports that there were no injuries, but multiple residents displaced. Governor J.B. Pritzker will announce his proposed budget today at noon, but some in the state capital are urging for drastic changes on how the state handles migrants. The White Sox were in Springfield yesterday pitching the General Assembly on a $1 billion taxpayer plan to help build a new stadium closer to the city. As for using taxpayer funds for a new stadium, the governor says the state needs to be careful with public dollars.
We need to be careful about how we use public dollars, and a private business like a professional team, even if they're beloved by so many people, are nevertheless, similar to lots of other businesses in the state.
The team's lease at taxpayer-funded Guaranteed Rate Field, where they played since 1991, expires after the 2029 season. The number 12 Fighting Illini go for their 3rd win in a row when they visit Penn State tonight, and the Blackhawks host the Flyers. The news, a service of McGrath Lexus in Westmont in Chicago. Experience the next level of excellence at McGrath Lexus in nearby Westmont and downtown Chicago. When you do the math, you'll choose McGrath. Visit new and pre-owned inventory online at McGrathLexus.com. 8:04 time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Neil Cavuto, and this is the Fox Business Report.
NVIDIA shares continue to lose ground. The artificial intelligence chip stock is down 1.5% after slumping yesterday, resulting in it losing $78 billion in market value. Its apparent profit taking ahead of NVIDIA's earnings after the market closed today. There are management changes at Planet Fitness. Its former chief executive, Chris Rondeau, has now also resigned from the gym chain's board. He stepped down after the company decided to cut 9% of employees at its headquarters. It's believed Rondeau disagreed with the layoffs and other decisions. Planet Fitness is still looking for someone to replace Rondeau as CEO. Applications to purchase or refinance a home slumped last week. The Mortgage Bankers Association's average for a 30-year fixed rate topped 7%. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda, invested in you.
8:05, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk sees more looking down on the voters.
Tom Tillis, our base cannot possibly know what's at stake at the level that any well-briefed U.S. senator should know about what's at stake if Putin wins. You guys are just too stupid, is what Tom Tillis is saying. You know, all of you that send emails and make phone calls, that pay your taxes, just stop trying.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
A storm is on the horizon, and you need to keep the lights on no matter what. Your business relies on the power being on 24/7. It's the lifeblood of your data and computer systems. Weather-related outages from the power company are not acceptable. Your need for a source of power that's reliable 24/7, along with round-the-clock service that can dispatch technicians to your site immediately, is mission critical. Your business needs Charles Equipment Energy Systems on speed dial. These are the big boys, not residential or solar, but reliable industrial generators for emergency backup or events. When you need more than a 100-foot extension cord plugged into a small engine generator, call Charles Equipment Energy Systems. They keep the lights on with rental generators for job sites or power outages. A storm is on the horizon. Plan ahead. Call now to prepare generators for storms and potential power outages. Call 630-834-6000, 630-834-6000, or charlesequipment.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'm here in San Diego. I mean, I surf, I'm active, I'm an ex-college athlete. Well, I decided, I'm going to try that Balance of Nature. Let's just see what happens. Like after about a month and a half, man, what a difference. That sold me right there. That's when I was like, this stuff's working, so I'm going to stick with it. And so I've been sticking with it ever since, and it's definitely helped, and I definitely feel good. Seems like to be the real deal.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order plus $10 off any additional sets with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Don't let everyday aches and pains keep you from living your best life.
I don't think I really understood what people meant when they talked about pain until I started feeling it myself.
Start feeling better every day with Relief Factor, a daily supplement designed to support your body's fight against aches and pains.
Not only do I move better without pain, I just feel better.
Created by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that target 4 metabolic pathways to address pain. Relief Factor doesn't just mask aches and pains, it helps reduce or even eliminate them.
Today, I do the things I love, and it doesn't occur to me to think about pain.
You can feel the difference all day, every day.
Join the over 1 million people who have tried Relief Factor's 3-week Quick Start Kit. It's only $19.95 and comes with our Feel Better or Your Money Back guarantee. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
8:09, let's check the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update on traffic is a service of Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of Ad Properties, Christie's International Real Estate, experts in the northwest suburbs and Chicago. With over $800 million in sales, You'll get the most value for your home. Visit the DMREgroup.com. Kennedy inbound 53 from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Brake lights on the Ike. 65 from 390 into the old post office. Dan Ryan, a half hour from 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. And due to an earlier accident, the express lanes are jammed between the Skyway and Pershing. Far south side. Indiana Avenue, north and southbound between 130th and 127th remain closed. And due to police activity, it's now a fatal accident after a vehicle crashed into the Little Calumet River. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. In the AM 560 Weather Center, here's Steve Williams.
Some sun, it'll be a warm day. High today 62, partly cloudy, passing shower late tonight, low 42. A stray shower tomorrow morning, otherwise a cloudy, mild day, high 55. Sunny to partly cloudy Friday, much colder, high Friday 39. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
46 at O'Hare. Next news at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Have you ever heard the theory about white flight?
Yes.
From the city to the but the theory
Right.
about why it happened. The city to the suburbs to other suburbs.
I don't know. In Detroit, they said it happened after the 68 riots, that the white flight and all the TV stations left Detroit, and they're all in the burbs.
Yeah, but the theory about it, not the description of what happened. The theory, one theory is sort of nicely encapsulated rhythmically as magic dirt became tragic dirt. So the magic dirt of the suburbs, where people were fleeing the problems of the urban centers for the leafy suburbs to pursue their own American dreams, better schools, safer neighborhoods, and the like. And when minority families did the same thing after white families had fled to the suburbs, the theory goes, they were left holding the bag. The minority families, the black and Latino families, when they fled to the suburbs. And so when we talk about what happened to South Suburban Chicagoland, for example, the argument would be, well, ethnic whites left the city for the South suburbs, and then Latino and black families, particularly in the Southland situation, black families started to move to the South suburbs, and that led those white ethnic families to then move to collar counties like Will or Northwest Indiana. And what they left behind was the magic dirt that they found became tragic dirt because they left behind aging infrastructure and it's not the wherewithal that they had come to find and build upon when they first made the move. That explains the migratory pattern, and it also explains why once thriving South suburban communities, think Flossmoor and Olympia Fields, no longer such thriving communities. I gotta get more context to this because I'm highly skeptical. But let's have that conversation. To help us do that, please be joined by Benjamin Herold. He's an award-winning journalist and author of the book Disillusioned, 5 Families and the Unraveling of America's Suburbs. Benjamin Herold, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me.
So do I have that magic dirt, tragic dirt theory properly described?
Yeah, I think you actually did a really great job of that. I appreciated hearing it in your words. And I think that the one place where I reframe it just a little bit is the idea that it's the dirt, it's the land itself. Because I think really what we see in a lot of these communities is it's the infrastructure, and that infrastructure is built with lots of government subsidy, but that same subsidy isn't available to maintain and repair it moving on, and that's where you kind of get the switch from magic to tragic.
I develop that more for me, for us, how it works, in your estimation. I mean, and I don't know what your familiarity is with Chicagoland, so if there's another regional example, but just to make it sort of concrete, pun intended, how it happens that you have big city migration in racial groups, one after the other, and there's investment in infrastructure, and then, the whites move on, and then there's disinvestment in infrastructure and a real world vignette that highlights that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in a inner ring suburb of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I write about this in the book. It's a town called Penn Hills, and it's kind of your prototypical post-World War II bedroom community. It had been farmlands and coal mines, and then all of a sudden, more or less overnight, it became subdivisions full of single-family homes. And when my family moved in the mid-'70s, it was still almost 90% white, and it was still a place that worked really, really well for families like mine. So it worked well in terms of, you can still get cheap mortgage loans, there's big tax breaks for suburban homeowners, but also most of the infrastructure was still new, and the public schools worked really well. And they worked really well because they had been built in our own image. They reflected the values, interest, history, culture of families like mine. And so to give you an example of how this kind of deterioration over time happens and how that ends up having a racial dimension to it is as early as the 1950s, as the town, the suburban town outside of Pittsburgh is still developing, people start warning, hey, you have a big problem with the sewer system here. It's kind of a slapdash system. There's a whole neighborhoods that are missing treatment plants. There's raw sewage that's leaking into the ground, going to the river, and you have both planning experts and residents, citizens saying you have a real problem here. This is a health risk and this is a legal risk. And the town ignored it because it would have been really, really expensive to fix. And it ignored it for decades. And so my family, like when I lived in Penn Hills, this was all happening then. But we didn't pay to repair the system because we were kicking the can down the road. And eventually the bill for that comes due. And in my hometown of Penn Hills, what that looked like is the EPA and state environmental regulators getting involved and saying, there's 13,000 violations of the Clean Water Act here, and fining the township almost $1 million and demanding $60 million in repairs. And so it was the residents who lived there after my family left who ended up having to pay for that. So that's this idea of how it kind of, the kind of dream deteriorates in real time with this demographic shift laid over it. Because when I graduated Penn Hills in 1994, it was said the public schools were 72% white. By the time all of this really hit and the damage was done, the public schools were almost 2/3 black.
Yeah, but okay, but kicking the can down the road is not racial. That's almost everybody does that. White, black. Every level of government kicking the can down the road. That should be the motto of government in America. So right. So
you're exactly right. Like that's the whole point. And it's not, the argument that I make in the book is it's not a critique of individual decisions. And again, my own family is involved in this. So we did this and it was a rational decision for me and my family. The problem is when you aggregate those rational individual decisions up to a sociological level, you get this pattern that leaves a lot of families stuck.
So is that why you decided to move? Because that payday was coming?
What you see in a lot of these kind of aging suburbs where this, you see the changes start to happen. And this is true in Penn Hills. And, I followed 4 other suburban communities around the country. And you see it again and again, is that there's almost like this kind of like ambient anxiety that starts to permeate a town. You start to see roads aren't getting fixed. Test scores in the school system start to go down. Home values start to stagnate. The sidewalks and sewers aren't getting fixed, repairs. So you start to see all of these or feel all of these changes, but we don't connect the dots. We don't have a larger way of making sense of it. All we know is like, hey, this isn't what I thought it was. I should get out while I still can. And again, that's a rational, normal decision for families who are living it in your own bubble. But the problem is when that's all happening, when it's kind of happening at a wholesale level with tens of thousands of people moving out, being replaced by tens of thousands of people moving in, and those people moving in are expecting that same generous social contract with new infrastructure, lots of financial benefits, et cetera. But what they end up finding is not only are they not getting that same deal, but they end up paying for the stuff that helped everyone who came before them get so many opportunities.
Yeah, but I mean, realistically, it is a very small percentage of the residents of any community, regardless of race, that has any idea other than physical manifestations of it, like potholes, what the underlying infrastructure, the water and sewer infrastructure and major projects, and are we going to have to, level up a bond issue? I mean, the percentage of people who have that level of sophistication or even interest in understanding municipal government or regional government, is infinitesimal. That's why I just like the racial component. I mean, for example, let me just counter your Penn Hill example with Chicagoland. So the south suburbs of Chicagoland, which we talk about a lot, you heard me mentioning it at the outset. I mean, it was the two suburban communities, Flossmoor and Olympia Fields. 50 years ago now, the late 60s, they were two of the wealthiest communities in Chicagoland, along with North Shore communities that are more familiar to people outside Chicago, that still are some of the wealthiest. Flossmoor and Olympia Fields no longer on the list not so much because of white flight or because of black families moving in from the suburbs, because that happens over time. It doesn't flip a switch, but because of terrible public policy decisions like the property tax classification system in Cook County that destroyed the commercial tax base in South Suburban Cook County, and then came after the residential because there was no commercial base. And so you're paying the highest property taxes as a percentage of home value, some of the highest in America, black, white, Latino, whatever. It's just, you can't make the math make sense. And then you add on what they did in Chicago, these same policymakers, black, white, and Latino, when they tore down the public housing projects and they wanted to scatter site the residents around the suburbs, and a disproportionate percentage of former public housing residents were sent to South Suburban communities. And if you go back and look at stories from the Chicago Tribune and other outlets in the late 60s and early 70s, you'll have black residents. You have in these stories, black residents of Roseland neighborhood on the south side of Chicago, which was a middle-income, predominantly black community that was safe and prosperous. And they're saying, wait a second, don't send those people to our community because they don't have the socialization to be property owners and to take care and to contribute. You can't just dump these people into our community. It's not going to be productive for our community. This was black residents, middle-income residents, families talking about largely black residents being shipped from the city to the suburbs. So I'm just using those as two examples to say those public policy decisions, I would argue, had so much more impact on the decimation of South Suburban Chicagoland than sort of the racial the racial problems we had, of course, the discrimination issues. I acknowledge all of that, but those public policy issues is what put families moving into the south suburbs after the initial flight from Chicago much more behind the eight ball than anything that this tragic soil could explain.
Yeah, I think you're making a really great point there about the public policy dimension of this, and I couldn't agree with you more on that. That there is this really what I see as both short-sighted and kind of counterproductive policy that really drove a lot of the post-war suburban growth. And so what you see, the example that you're saying really resonates with me, because I think what you see is kind of two things. Like we have kind of developed this mindset that if our neighborhood starts to change, if the demographics change, if things start to age and it needs repair, if the basic kind of underlying foundation, we realize the foundational kind of principles of the community aren't really working anymore. What we've been encouraged to do is leave and leave for a newer suburb further out, or increasingly going back into the city if you're able to. And so you have that kind of policy decision, which is not explicitly racial or explicitly racist. It's a reflection of this mindset. But what ends up happening, and I think you make a great point, that there's a strong class dimension to that too. So, I followed an African American family in the Atlanta suburbs for the book, for example, and they made the same progression. They said, listen, we're going to go out to the newest, furthest place from downtown we can because that's where we think the schools are best. And they looked at the same thing everyone else looked at. What are the test scores? What are the crime rates? What are the neighborhood safety scores? All of those kinds of things. So it's a very American thing, but that's part of the problem is that we have created all of these communities based on that mindset, grounded in this flawed public policy, and now we're kind of having to deal with the fact that not only did it not work, but it hasn't worked on a massive scale.
But then how do you explain what you just mentioned? You just made reference to gentrification of the cities. So then people come back to the cities, whether they're empty nesters or kids out of college or what have you. They want to just live in a bigger city for the arts and entertainment diversity, and you see all this gentrification going on until so many of these cities essentially lost control of public safety, and then the flight now has. And lockdowns during COVID, of course. And so now the flight is moving out of those cities and the gentrification has stalled. But there was that gentrification. So they came back to what would be, according to your paradigm, tragic soil and made it magic soil. And then they left again.
Yeah, and I think, you had kind of opened the segment by talking about the kind of cycles and patterns of white flight and staying away from even what are the intentions of it, just the, kind of from a sociological perspective, the dynamics of it. I think what we've really seen, particularly in the last, 10, 20 years, it's almost like when you have the wave in the bathtub. It kind of comes down, hits the end of the tub, and then kind of sweeps back. And so you do see a lot of families, and we have seen a lot of, younger families, more affluent families, especially highly educated families, moving back into cities. And so, but part of what, when we step back and see it from, the 30,000-foot view, the kind of common thread in all of these dynamics is people trying to run away from the problems we've left behind, or from the people we don't want to share communities with and schools with and neighborhoods with. And so, that migration pattern has gone lots of different directions, but the underlying principle, I think, largely remains the same.
He is Benjamin Herold. He's an award-winning journalist and author. The book, Disillusioned, 5 Families and the Unraveling of America's Suburbs. Benjamin Herold, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And he joined us on our Turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Guevalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology, such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930. That's 630-830-4930. Or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Do relationships today seem harder than ever? In the world of IT management and infrastructure, what if you had a business partner that thinks like you, is easy to work with, and just seems to get it? MS Consulting Services has been doing this for 25 years. But don't listen to us, listen to some actual customers.
This is Bruno. I work for a medical software company. Being in this field, trust is very important. MS Consulting has been my trusted partner for almost 20 years. They are experienced, dependable, and honest. They do not try to oversell. They truly want to help and are willing to go out of their way to prove it.
Hi, my name's Gary. MS Consulting Services was laser focused on understanding the needs of our business. It was a priority to them to understand the needs of our customers. They're not just helpful, they really are experts at what they do.
So if you want a relationship like this, call John at 1-800-MIT-0404. You'll be glad you did.
50 years of precision tooling. Now that's a lot of job shop work and custom parts. And it's why Bruscher Machining is the go-to CNC turning and machining company in Chicagoland. If you have a custom project, whether it's a single prototype or a short-run production of a few thousand pieces, give them a call today for your free custom quote, 630-876-1661. Or visit BruscherMachining.com. That's BRUCHER Machining.com. They also provide heat treating, balancing, plating, and surface coating, welding, and fabrication, plus project management. Bruscher Machining guarantees to consistently deliver high-quality parts and solutions on time for reasonable prices. Yeah, everyone says that, but the proof is in the tooling. Stop by to meet their team of seasoned pros and tour the facility located in West Chicago. To learn more about how CNC machining can turn your tough project into an operational reality, contact Bruscher Machining today for your free custom quote, 630-876-1661.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at ReliefFactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. ReliefFactor.com, ReliefFactor.com. Be the next success story.
Progressive covers pets in our auto policy at no extra charge. Now let's see what your dog has to say.
As a dog, I think Progressive's auto pet policies. Oh, what is that? That's just my tail. Weird. Anyway, Progressive protects. There it is again. See? This is why I need protection. I'm so distracted. Nope, that is still my tail.
Progressive Auto Insurance covers pets for up to $1,000 in a car accident at no extra charge. And we think your dog would say that's great too. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Coverage for cats and dogs included with the purchase of collision coverage and subject to policy terms. Not available in all states.
Hi, it's Randy Donnelly from Donnelly Auctions in Union, Illinois, and I want to talk to you about your unused basement rec rooms. We all had them back in the 60s and 70s with jukeboxes, pinballs, and slot machines, Coca-Cola signs, and even gas pumps. We all had a great time in those days, but fast forward, and I'll bet you haven't gone down there in years. That's where I can help by turning those items into cash through Donnelly Auctions. We have thousands of customers online eager to bid on your items, and it's easier than you might think. Just give me a call at 815-923-7000, and I'll make those items fit in your wallet. Look us up online at DonnellyAuctions.com to see all of the items that we can sell for you. Give me a call today at 815-923-7000, and don't forget to check out the Donnelly Auctions Hour Saturdays at 1 o'clock on AM 560. Subscribe and check out the podcast too. I'm Randy Donnelly, and I'll see you at the auction.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan, somebody wanted to know if you're going to be joining the LGPA.
If I throw together a few more subpar rounds, I may change my gender identity.
Yeah, to Danielle.
And, exactly.
It'd be a nice transition, DP to DP. So
never too late.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, taxpayer-funded stadiums?
Yeah, should we pony up $1 billion so Jerry Reinsdorf can build a new Comiskey Park? We'll talk to Alan Sanderson. He's a professor in econ, University of Chicago, and an authority on the economics of sports gambits like this. That's 8:38.
But now, let's step into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
8:32, 47 degrees and clouds right now. Sun for the afternoon, and the U.S. is vetoing a resolution at the UN calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza.
We believe that the resolution on the table right now would, in fact, negatively impact those negotiations.
U.S. Ambassador Linda Thomas-Greenfield, GOP hopeful Nikki Haley, criticizing the age of both of her political rivals. In an appearance on News Nation's The Hill, Haley argued that both President Biden and Donald Trump are too old for another term. Haley later told South Carolina voters that she'll stay in the race.
I'm willing to take the cuts, the bruises, and the name-calling, because the only way you get to the blessing is by going through the pain.
Former President Donald Trump, however, said last night on Fox the race between he and Nikki Haley was settled 3 months ago.
She's here. She's down by 30, 35 points. And everybody knows her. You're not supposed to lose your home state. Shouldn't happen anyway. And she's losing it big.
Trump saying that candidates should not be trailing this late in a primary in their home state. Chicago dollar stores could face some restrictions as the city council considers an ordinance which would limit where new locations can open. Chicago police took 2 people into a department for questioning in the shooting that killed a Senn High School student and injured 2 others. Shooting happened January 31st in the Edgewater neighborhood, just a few blocks from the school where Davion Gibson was killed. Video from passengers apparently shows a man getting duct taped to a seat after a flight to Chicago was disrupted Tuesday. American Airlines plane number 1219 heading to O'Hare from New Mexico didn't make it very far after an unruly passenger apparently tried to open the plane door midway through the flight. The unruly passenger again was tackled by some passengers and later taken into custody by police. Blackhawks take on the Flyers tonight. Big Ten hoops, number 12 Fighting Illini, go for their 3rd in a row visiting Penn State. It's not at the Bryce Jordan Center tonight. It's at the ancient Rec Hall as the Big Ten celebrates the old Barns this week. The news is a service of Crosscom Public Adjusters. If your home or business has an insurance claim, Crosscom will help you get what you need and have coming to you. They've helped thousands. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager always speaks the truth.
Another guy defeated women in a sport. This is a girls' high jump contest. It's a matter of truth. It's not a matter of pro-trans, anti-trans. It's a matter of truth. It's a boy. That's why this person won the high jump contest.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements. Changing the world one life at a time.
I like your product. Your product is great. I'm 75 and it works real well for me.
Yeah, I'm 70 years old and it's really made a difference. It feels good.
Oh, I just feel better. I can tell the difference.
I feel like a teenager because I walk 2 miles every day, me and my husband. I mean, you can't go wrong with this product, I tell you.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order, plus $10 off any additional sets with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. She'll offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Chicagoland agrees. McGrath Lexus is the overwhelming choice of luxury vehicle shoppers. Their unparalleled team of sales consultants expertly help you navigate their immense inventory to arrive at the perfect vehicle for you. With 2 convenient state-of-the-art dealerships in downtown Chicago and in Westmont, they offer 2 times the selection and 2 times the discounts. And right now, McGrath Lexus is offering a premium for your current vehicle. It will never be worth more. Make this the year you enjoy the luxury of Lexus as only McGrath can offer. Your McGrath experience will take Lexus ownership to a whole new level. Do not deny yourself this privilege. You deserve it. Visit one of our 2 McGrath Lexus dealerships in downtown Chicago or in Westmont, or visit us online at McGrathLexus.com because
when you do the math, you choose McGrath.
Raj Shah, host of Unleash Your Wealth.
You know, there are a lot of clients and people coming in from the radio into our office saying, I don't want to lose any money. I need to protect the money I have saved over the last 20 or 30 years, where you have strategies where you can structure an income stream where it has an inflation protection so that as inflation, if it continues to go up, your income will go up.
Unleash Your Wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
The following is a paid political announcement.
I'm Dr. Kent Mercado, and I'm running for Congress in the 11th District. I'm a physician, attorney, humanitarian, father, and husband. And I have had the privilege of speaking with several thousand residents, and I've heard your concerns. And they are kitchen table issues: the economy, education, safety, and secure borders, access to quality and affordable physical and mental health care. I'm here to be your voice. Please vote for Dr. Kent Mercado for Congress on March 19th in the Republican primary.
This message was paid for and approved by Dr. Kent Mercado for Congress.
8:38, let's check the roads now. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update is a service of Lowe's. At Lowe's, save big when you buy in bulk. Save 10% when you buy 68 or more select OSB sheathing. Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Selection varies by location. Always while supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for any detail. Eden's right now running at a half hour. Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy right now from O'Hare into the Burn Circle interchange is at 1 hour. Accident left shoulder on the outbound side of the Kennedy. Left shoulder is between the Circle and Lake Street. The Icahn, about an hour, 390 into the old post office. To Saba Lakeshore Drive, solid northbound between Foster and Hollywood. Tri-State, accident right shoulder northbound between Archer and 47th. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Some sun for the afternoon, near record warmth, a high of 62. Currently 46. Your next news update at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Well, it worked 35 years ago. Why not try it again? Jerry Reinsdorf, the owner of the White Sox, he ventured down to Springfield to meet with the state's illustrious legislative leaders because he wants $1 billion of public funds to develop a 60-acre complex in West Loop that would consist of a new Comiskey Park, open park spaces, apartment buildings between Roosevelt and 18th Street.
Yeah, you could take a water taxi there. There'd be a new restaurant and bar scene, all that. Sounds lovely, doesn't it?
Yeah. I wonder how we being the taxpayers, we did with the $150 million in subsidies that Jerry Reinsdorf got back in the late 80s when Governor Jim Thompson cut the deal with Harold Washington after Reinsdorf had extorted them with the threat to move to Florida.
Yeah. Don't we still own $50 million on that?
I don't know offhand what the number is, but generally speaking, I think our next guest will confirm, but we can get into the details. These deals where for one hamburger today, I will gladly pay you with 2 hamburgers tomorrow doesn't really actually transpire that way with respect to taxpayers' interests. They get left holding the bag, but I know you got to keep up with the Joneses of other big cities that are financing new stadiums and ever bigger scoreboards and amenities and surrounding hotels and restaurants and entertainment, because there's no price that's too high for the bread and the circuses. For more on this, please be joined by Alan Sanderson, Senior Instructional Professor in Economics at University of Chicago. He is an authority on sports economic issues such as these. Professor Sanderson, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, glad to do it.
So how did we do on Comiskey Park 2.0 back in the late 80s to present?
Well, if you go even back a little further than that, when we basically moved the ballpark from the north side of 35th Street to the south side, I think most everyone would argue that it was not a good investment, either for private developers or public funds. In general, sports facilities tend not to be good investments.
And I mean, why is that? It's just sort of the classic government is not the best allocator of scarce resources.
Well, yeah, and then I guess I tend to put them on a spectrum. I would put football on one end of that spectrum and probably something like the United Center on the other end of the spectrum. For instance, with football, you can't make it pay because it's used so little of the time. You play, 10 home games a year or something like that. Baseball is kind of in the middle of that, and then if you move to a facility like the United Center that hosts both an NBA and NHL team, you can make that pay. Madison Square Garden, for example, in New York, it probably operates 225, 250 nights a year. That's not hard to make it pay. But baseball, again, is kind of in the middle. More and more, probably again led by football, is driven by television. Probably 75 or 80% of the Bears' revenue, and the same for all of the NFL teams. 75 or 80% of the revenue is television.
Well, and the Bears are competing too for taxpayer-funded, help. So
Yes.
if they gave it to Reinsdorf, wouldn't they have to give it to the Bears, to the McCaskies?
Well.
Like, who's going to beg harder?
Or the Fire or whoever's next in line to get the subsidy.
Yeah, how did Bridgeview do with the Chicago Fire Stadium?
I don't know. I have complete
Yeah.
ignorant on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure
It's whether or not Americans will ever watch soccer.
Well, or should they shouldn't. But so the other thing that's sort of interesting too is we have this Illinois Sports Facilities Authority that was created around the time of Jerry Reinsdorf's last shakedown. For the purpose of selling bonds to finance these stadiums backed by the taxpayers, of course. So explain that process and why do it that way rather than directly underwriting these stadiums if the government was so inclined.
Again, good question, and I don't really know the answer to that. I am struck with this recent proposal, not the most recent, say, of I want $1 billion, but a lot of the other things have been going on in recent months, because the White Sox, and again, I'm a University of Chicago faculty member, and I live in Hyde Park, and probably by location more than anything else, I'm part of a White Sox season ticket group, so I'm not anti-sports or anti-White Sox. But 2023 had to be on the field and off one of the worst seasons I've ever seen for a professional franchise. It was downright embarrassing.
Yeah.
If somebody had offered me free tickets to the game, I would say, no thanks, the price is too high.
Right.
I just...
Well, right. No, I mean, I'm a diehard Sox fan too, so I feel your pain. I agree with you.
When you lose 100 games a year, that's not a good starting place to say, oh, by the way, I'd like $1 billion.
No, and it's not a great fan. I mean, it's the stadium's gotten a lot better since they sort of redid it after they did it, but it's just not a great fan experience in the neighborhood. And so one of the arguments would be, and this is sort of, I think, the same thinking for the Bears, thinking of Arlington Heights. Well, if we could do something like a Wrigleyville, if we could do something like they did in California with SoFi Stadium and have a sort of entertainment community built around it, then we can make it make sense. And to my point, which would be say, well, if you can do that, great. And if you can make it make sense, then do it yourself and leave taxpayers alone.
Yeah, no, exactly. I agree with you. I mean, even with Arlington Heights, one of the things that happens there is what we discovered was people like to bet on horse races. They just don't want to watch them. And the word, certainly, if I think about the NFL playoffs and going forward into next year, college ball as well, is, I mean, the magic word is streaming. That it's just going to be more and more being put on that platform or platforms.
Well, unless maybe I don't know. Maybe if we could get Taylor Swift to dump Travis Kelce and
date who?
Yeah,
who's
I don't
eligible on? Oh, maybe Komet.
I don't really know who's who's married and who's not on the Sox. So yeah, but I mean, something. We need something like that to happen. We need a romance that captures our hearts the way that Travis and Taylor have. Maybe that could be built into the price somehow. No, so if you're a legislator and Jerry Reinsdorf comes knocking and the McCaskies probably they don't come to the state. They really just want property tax relief at the local level. But any owner of any professional sports franchise comes knocking, and they threaten you and say, well, we're going to take the Sox and we're going to go to St. Petersburg or something like I threatened 35 years ago. If you don't do it, what do you say? You don't want to lose the Sox, just like Chicago doesn't want to lose the Bears.
Well, I think you can bet on the fact that Reinsdorf have been shopping the Sox around. They may deny it, or they may be more serious in one area than another. But if they got a better deal out of state, they'd be gone before opening day.
Alan Sanderson, Senior Instructional Professor in Economics at University of Chicago and authority on sports economics issues. As we were discussing, Professor Sanderson, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, glad to. Have a good day.
Thanks. You too. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Sick and tired of achy joints? Dread the idea of surgery? Well, you need to call QC Kinetics. Hi, it's Amy Jacobson. Listen, the state of healthcare is always changing. The old ideas like steroids, cortisone shots, surgery are no longer your only options. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics is transforming lives with innovative, non-surgical, drug-free treatments that deliver lasting results. Knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain from arthritis or injury? Well, don't let this pain keep you from living your best. QC Kinetics' advanced state-of-the-art treatments harness and direct your body's natural ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. Make 2024 the year you reclaim your mobility and independence. Walk and run, play and live. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation. New locations, folks, in Crystal Lake and Gurnee. Call 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955. And after you call QC Kinetics, you're going to take Balance of Nature. No, love Balance of Nature. I just got done taking mine. I crack my capsules open into warm water and stir it, and voila, it gives me the energy I need to get through the day. There's no coffee for this girl or for Justin Kosick in the afternoon because we don't need that. We have Balance of Nature. I used to get B12 shots all the time. Don't need that because of Balance of Nature. 31 different fruits and vegetables. And when you give your body the best possible fuel, you do have more energy. You are stronger, and you can think more quickly. So do something for yourself and feel good that you're doing something for yourself. Get Balance of Nature. The number to call is 800-246-8751, 800-246-8751, or online at balanceofnature.com, and be sure to use discount code Chicago.
Have you been struggling to find an easy, safe, and secure document scanning solution for Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, or OnBase by Highland? Your struggle is now over, and it's time to get your documents and operations into the 21st century. With IoT Smart Connected Scanning, it's easy to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. And you don't need a degree in computing or IT to make it happen. Using QR code technology uniquely configured for your specific business, anyone can set the IoT Smart Connected Scanning device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money and valuable time. Remote employees can even capture documents and send them safely and seamlessly. Organize documents efficiently and securely with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
You're smart, you're busy, and don't have time to waste on the mainstream media cycle. Salem News Channel breaks that cycle. Topics that matter from hosts worth watching. Dinesh D'Souza, Andrew Wilkow, Brandon Tatum, and more. Open debate and free speech you won't find anywhere else. Salem News Channel, not like the other guys. Watch anytime on any screen, free 24/7. Find everything you need to know at snc.tv. That's snc.tv.
All right, AM 560 is so excited to welcome All-American Collegiate Swimming Champion and women's sports advocate Riley Gaines to Chicagoland for a huge event on Friday, March 22nd at Belvedere Banquets in Elk Grove Village. As you know, Riley has been at the forefront of the fight for fairness and equality in women's sports after she was forced to compete against a biological male swimmer. Hear Riley tell her story and learn what she's doing to advocate for female athletes at all levels of competitions. Tickets are on sale at 560theanswer.com/tickets. At this event, we'll be sitting down on stage with Riley, and she'll be taking your questions. And you don't want to miss this exclusive event. And if you're a parent or grandparent of a young girl or boy who participates in sports, this is a great opportunity to bring them with you. There are VIP tickets available for a very special meet and greet photo op with Riley. So you want to buy your tickets before they're gone. Get yours today. 560theanswer.com/tickets. That's 560theanswer.com/tickets. Sponsored in part by Blue Star Security and Opum Tax Advocates and attorney Stephen A. Leahy.
Are you ready to transform your bathroom into a comfortable sanctuary of luxury? Turn to Forever Remodeling. At Forever Remodeling, we're not just about aesthetics, we're about functionality. Picture a bathroom that blends style and practicality. Our skilled team ensures every detail is perfect from tiles to fixtures. If you're ready for your beautiful bathroom upgrade, schedule an in-home consultation and give us a call today at 847-809-3355 or visit foreverremodeling.com. That's foreverremodeling.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Sports and politics and sports and politics and sports and politics and intersection. Arrogance and ignorance, arrogance, ignorance, and arrogance and ignorance. Intersection.
Well, speaking of Riley Gaines and the event coming up next month, got another instance. This is sort of like telling violent crime stories about people who should have been held in pretrial detention and instead were released, and the crimes they committed. Sort of the same thing. All we can do is tell the stories and hope that more parents and coaches and school administrators exhibit more courage. High school basketball team in Massachusetts forfeited a recent game after 3 players were injured, including one who was hurt during a play involving a 6-foot male player on the other team who identifies as female. It's easy to pick him out, not just because he's at least half a foot taller than everybody else on the court, but also because he has facial hair. He's a girl, though. Okay.
He's huge. And there was a rebound. He grabbed a rebound. He was fighting with a female player, and he threw her to the ground. And so she was the 3rd player. That's on the video, and we'll tweet it out. And she had a hip injury. And then the coach at halftime, it's like, we're done because my bench is getting cleared, and we have playoffs next week. We're forfeiting.
The Collegiate Charter School of Lowell in Massachusetts forfeited the game against Kipp Academy. So these are like charter schools, too. Right. As we were talking about with Rick Hess yesterday. Charter school doesn't mean they're immune from this insanity. And it's very interesting, too, that the Kipp school declined to say whether the school believes the male player who identifies as female was the reason the other team forfeited. Also declines to assign gender identity to this guy pretending to be a girl. I mean, the whole thing is just beyond absurd, and the cowardice is beyond comprehension. Should have never played the game in the first place.
Where are the parents in all this? You know, you do have a say about your child's education and about your child's extracurricular activities. They should have stood up and said, no, my daughter, I'm not putting my daughter in a dangerous situation like that.
There are some people trying to blow the whistle and set an example. One is William Bach. Bach is the former general counsel for the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency. And he writes as to why he resigned his role as an NCAA board member, essentially. Remember, the NCAA is now headed up by Charlie Baker, the former Republican-ish governor of Massachusetts. Well, he's what's the new term I created? Miko. He's a man in chromosome only, too. Writes Bach, again, former general counsel at U.S. Anti-Doping Agency. But phased in between 2022 and 2025, the NCAA's policy centers on testosterone levels, allowing males to compete as females simply by reducing their testosterone below a certain benchmark. The framework is founded on the false premise that a woman is merely a testosterone level. This policy harms women, denies biological reality, ignores that testosterone suppression doesn't offset the enormous performance advantage of being male, and provides cover for NCAA member institutions to violate federal laws protecting women. He says, my goal for 14 years as general counsel for the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency was to preserve competitive fairness and leveling the playing field for athletes. He was the lead lawyer in the case against Lance Armstrong, for example. He writes of the NCAA's trans policy, it promotes sanctioned cheating, his words. It gives colleges the green light to steal records and win championships with trans-identifying males and women's teams. It deprives women of competitive opportunities and subjects them to physical, mental, and emotional harm. Yeah. And it will continue until more people like William Bach and more parents at the grade school and high school level stand up, as Riley Gaines has called on parents to do.
Remember when that would be considered assault, when a man would beat up a woman? Times have changed. All right, thanks, Justin Kosick, for all your help, and Quinn McCarthy. Dan, have fun. I don't know what you're doing, but you're going to be doing something fun the next 2 days. It's now 9 a.m., WIND, Chicago.
It's a big reason Nikki Haley's still in the Republican race. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. All the Trump legal issues.
He's already had, I think, 3 verdicts against him now, over $500 million he's going to have to pay.
And Haley just told Fox 3 days before the Republican primary in South Carolina, where polls have her far behind the former president.
He's going to be in court March, April, May, and June. By his own words, he's going to be spending more time in a courtroom than he will on the campaign trail. That is not how